Have we heard from her? I can go over those documents for you.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6:30 p.m. It is September 13 of 2023, and I'm calling to order this special meeting of the Board of Directors of Williamson-Travis County Municipal Utility District Number 1. All right, so we'll have the first agenda item, which is comment and question from district residents. We are limited to 2 minutes only. Scotty.
I really wasn't going to say anything. I addressed my concerns last month. So my pickleball membership being suspended. And so I'm kind of here to just So I'm just kind of here for follow-up because, to be honest, last time, I didn't get any feedback. So I'm kind of interested to see if we can make some changes to actually promote the use of the courts as opposed to deter. So that's kind of what I'm here to just see a follow-up and kind of see where we're at and then take it from there. Yeah. But just a side note, when we were here last month, when I was talking to you about violations, it was going on right here. I could have asked you to stand up and go out here and you would have seen it, okay? Because I stepped outside and I saw pickleballers coming in and there was only one card member and there was at least 4 on each side. All right, so I'm just here to say that, if you're going to enforce the rules, you have to do it equitably across the board. You can't just cherry pick and pick me out as a target of opportunity because I'm sitting here, when she's working, okay? The guy, I'm trying to limit it down. Pickleball is designed pretty much for doubles, not so much for singles. There are some people that do it, but, look, I've given 44 years to my, serving our country, 24 in the Army, 24 to the FBI, all right? All I want to do now is just relax, have fun, vacay, and play pickleball. I'm not asking for too much, all right? And what I am asking for is a little leniency, and let's just work for a compromise. It's where we can help work both sides to where everyone's happy, whether it be the tennis players, whether it be but hey, that's my concern, and so that's why I'm just here to see follow up and see if we can get some feedback. Oh, well, and I was always concerned, so from August 22, when the actual rules were like 1 member, 3 guests, and the non-member memberships was $100, and then 4 months later, it drastically changed to 1 card member, 1 guest, and then $250 for a non-member fee. So I'm just really, I don't understand the historical perspective of what happened that changed that, and so I'd be very interested to hear what transpired to make it so it's, instead of promoting play, promoting, mental, physical well-being and all that stuff, and just getting out in community. Because pickleball is really about a social. It's just as much social than it is physical. It's out there, making new friends, community and stuff. But when it went from August to December of 22, when those rules changed, it went significantly, drastically to where it was deterring use of the courts.
You said that was August of last?
August of 22 is when the rules were in place, and I read it thoroughly, forwards and backwards. Look, I was an investigator. I know evidence. I know what this is what I did for a living. So I read it thoroughly backwards and forwards, and I saw that in December, something drastically changed. They changed the rules to where it was significantly hampering, being able to have guests at all, and being able to, making it so unaffordable for non-members I mean, the idea is to try to coax in and get more people to play and, you know, participate in the community, I think. But, so that's kind of, you know, so I'm just interested in the history of that. I don't understand it. I would like to hear it if it's possible, but
Do we have any other speakers?
That's it?
that's it.
Does anyone have any objection to moving the parks agenda first so that we can enter into a discussion with this gentleman and let him go about his evening, since he's been waiting a month for some kind
You
of...
good? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay.
Do I just sit down? Or?
You can sit
you
down,
can
go
have a seat,
ahead.
yep.
You're not on the hot
I'm
seat.
being normal here. I'm like, you know.
So I was not here when the park rules were rewritten between August and December. My understanding from Mackenzie is that the rates for non-residents were raised to make them more commensurate with the other communities around here and what they are charging for non-residents. And when I took a quick look after the last meeting, that's what I saw. We're not too far off of, for instance, what Anderson Mill Limited District charges for non-members.
It's 200. And I've checked it out. I've checked out each one of them myself. Okay? But the guest, though, is completely different. I'll say that. None of the other districts are like that. So that's the part I don't really understand too well.
And I don't know, Mackenzie or Reese, do you have any input or introspection on why the number of guests was taken from 3 to 1?
It was mainly done, first of all, was the initial point where it was reduced was for COVID reasons. That was the initial reduction in guests allowed on the, I'm drawing the timeline together. So
Thank
that's
you.
where it started, is that's when the reduction of guests took place on the park rules was during COVID. And beyond that, after we kicked out of COVID and then the rules began to be revamped, at that point in time, we were having issues with the current instructors on the courts along with the pickleball players at the same time. We were experiencing clashing between the two groups. It was causing issues when there were numerous pickleball players and then there were the kids being taught by the instructors and it was causing a collision. And at that point in time, the Parks Committee decided to reduce the number of players that were allowed to come with pickleball membership card holders. So that's kind of how it's all transpired over the last several years since 2020 for the reduction in the allowed amount of players on the court with you.
Okay. And from my, again, quick look at the surrounding communities, most of them do allow 3 guests per 1 card member. And so I would like to make a motion that until the new park rules can be rewritten and voted on, that we not enforce the 1 member limit on pickleball guests and that we allow 1 card to allow 3 guests.
Can I say one other thing to
Of
that?
course.
Not just pickleball, but tennis as well. So I don't want to just single out pickleball because I would say, you know, I come out here and I'm the only one typically in the morning, usually. But there have been some tennis people that have come out and it's usually doubles. So I want to be fair to the tennis side as well, right? So it should be like one card member, 2 guests, whether you're pickleball or tennis. That way you have the ability to play doubles. And like I said, about 98% of the time, and I've been out, I mean, I've been pretty regular for the last year and a half. And these are my courts. I mean, you know, so I've been pretty regular, and I would say like 98% of the time it's doubles. I've seen, you know, a smattering of singles, but it's very few and far in between. So I just want to make it, you know, equitable for everybody. So, you know, I had suggested that, but these lines are painted already for pickleball for 6 courts. Now, you know, if you're not going to remote play, then why did you paint the lines? I mean, the whole idea is like if you put the lines in, I mean, like that should promote pickleball play. Now, my other suggestion was like to resolve the conflict potentially between tennis and pickleball. It's like you have the courts over on Anderson Mill. They're not painted. They're not striped. You could dedicate that to just simply tennis and make this the pickleball court. Because that way, you know, you're separating them, and they still have the ability to play doubles, and they got 2 courts over there, and just like we would have 2 courts here, except really 2 courts here it equals 6 courts for pickleball. But I've never seen it. We've never had it like, to man 6 courts. Now granted, you would have to adjust probably if you would allow that to happen, you would have to adjust the app, the reservation app, so that you could reserve court, pickleball court 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But that's just a recommendation, to keep tennis, happy. Keep them, let them have their 2 courts over there, and then keep pickleball happy over here because the lines are already striped.
So in the interest of time, and I really value everything you're saying, and I'm paying attention. I think tonight we just want to resolve your issue because you are the one here before us. And so I would like to go ahead and get a vote on my motion to allow 3 guests per card on the pickleball carts until the new rules are approved.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Do we need further discussion? David, I would like to hear a little bit from you on this, since you're in Parks Committee.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Mr. Sharp. Is court tennis? Why not tennis as well at this point? I believe that we are planning on working on the rules and revamping that, just to make it fair and equitable across everybody. That would be my only change. Would be just 1 card holder, 3 guests across the board. I don't think it would hurt for the month or so that we plan on revamping.
That's optimistic. Does anyone have any discussion on that, whether it should be all courts or?
I think if it's
There's
easier,
really not a way to enforce it regardless, because it's just gonna be per card holder. The system doesn't see how many people get left in, which it brings up the other issue of people who utilize the court leaving the door prop open. Another thing that kind of came along with limiting the members was because we wanted them to be utilized more so by residents that live in this community that contribute to the maintenance and the upkeep of the courts, rather than one person bringing in more than themselves and guests, 3 additional people who don't live here, who don't pay for the memberships or their maintenance fees and things like that through taxes that you all front for that. So that's just something to keep in mind. There's no way for us to limit it, so there's no reason to exclude the tennis players in the
Okay.
conjunction with the pickleball players.
So I amend my motion to just add 3 guests per membership per
Per
card.
holder.
So is card holder for the family or per person?
It's per person.
Okay. So we would each need to get a card. I
You-
play tennis,
you
so
have to.
we're
You have
invited
to.
family, pickleball tennis. So he's not trying to, get rid of the tennis. But that, just if I want to go play tennis, then do
The
I need to-
memberships are registered to a person, not a household.
Okay, gotcha.
So in most cases, I think we limit it to 2 per household unless you say, my uncle lives here too, he would like a card for his own use. We take them as needed, but we do keep track of the home addresses and the cards issued to that address within the reservation system and the card system. Thank you for clarifying.
I would like to say one other thing about, you talked about maintenance and stuff like that. You can ask Reese, you can ask my constable out here. When I come out, there's stuff all over the court all the time. People leave stuff behind. I don't care if it's tennis with lids and this and that. But I bring a blower. I'm cleaning the courts every time I come out. I mean, I take care of them. Okay, so, but what I would say with pickleball is that we're pretty self-sustaining. Like most of them, like I'm an avid player, I have a net, right? But I will tell you this, like at Anderson Limited, they purchased 4 of those little, mobile nets with the wheels that they can push over the court. And I see a lot of places that are doing that. I think, I would say this, when I first started, you guys provided, or the MUD provided 3 pickleball courts. They were in that little toolbox, a little shed box out there. But they have seen pretty much the wear and tear. I mean, they're hobbling, okay?
Let me interrupt you. I have received several emails about the cool nets on wheels, and Mackenzie, we have that as a wish list item. It's on the list.
But I just say this from a perspective, like the maintenance of it. you know, I really take pride in taking care of this course for you. I mean, for us, and so it's pretty limited, like, so we don't have to worry about nets, right? Don't have to worry about, you know, only thing I would say is like, you know, I have heard some tennis people complaining about the other net, the one side on that one side on court two, that it's got holes and stuff in it, and it's not, it needs a new net. Because I was on that side and the tennis ladies were on the other side, and so I ended up switching with them just because the net had big holes in the top of it. And so, you know, we work together. I mean, I'll be honest, when there's tennis guys, you know, I mean, I'm always cordial, try to work with them in that respect, but I would say that one net needs to be replaced.
All right.
Okay.
I was gonna say, for the sake of time, if you could email, Kelly and myself, sorry, those things that you see would be greatly appreciated, and this way we can get it on our list to do.
Appreciate
And,
the time.
yep, thank you.
So-
So we have a motion,
We have a motion.
We have a second.
Yep,
and
and so,
a vote.
Just need a
all in
vote.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, so the next issue then is the issue of your suspension of your membership, correct? So we've taken care of the 3 guest issue. Now, I have been told that you have been observed on the courts on multiple occasions with even more than 3 people? No? Okay. And some other rule violations potentially, such as playing music? No?
Music, so when I was told to stop the music, I stopped it.
Okay.
When I was told no chairs, even though the chairs is not in there, show it to me, because it's not in, it's not in.
I agree.
So when she told me that, I stopped bringing, you know, I told guys, don't bring the chairs, just bring the music. But you know what? She's sitting here making faces. But I can sit here. You can-
Okay.
I've got pictures.
All right.
All right,
So-
you're gonna get me
Let's keep
fired.
the,
This will get me fired up, okay? So here's the deal, she's cherry picking this stuff, but I have.
Okay, we're gonna stop this right now. We're gonna stop it right now.
I'm being accused of something, so I.
No.
So hold on.
We need to,
No, excuse me. She's accusing me.
do you want him to keep communicating,
to.
or, I just don't
I
want
think,
I'm trying to help you.
the,
You're
the
not,
meeting out of order,
this is
please.
not helping.
Yeah.
listen,
Would you?
so I have plenty of evidence that shows that I'm not the only one. I have it with dogs on the court, popping the gate
Sir.
open, 10, 15 people on the court.
Sir,
But since your suspension, he's only had 3.
since the suspension.
Yes.
She was there, we both have card holders. She was there and she had a guest and she was
And
out.
1 guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, I did have one extra guest.
okay.
And that's because it was so hot, we kind of rotate people in.
So here is where I have arrived. The current park rules, the penalty for violation of the rules is either $200 fine or to be considered trespassing on the district property. There is no laid out process for warnings or suspensions or anything like that, and so that may be a gap that needs to be filled when the rules are rewritten. And so what I would like to do is I would like to make a motion to lift your suspension, provided that you follow all the other rules and have no more than 3 guests per card, pending the rewriting and approval of new rules.
I'll second that.
That's your motion?
Yes, my motion. Second?
Okay, David has a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right.
All right, thanks.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Dave did. All right, so should we go back to item 2? We're good
Yes.
with parks, so do we
Yes.
have something else
We
related
want
to
to
parking
continue,
reports?
or we want to just go down the agenda, Kelly?
Let's just go down the agenda. I
Yeah.
just wanted to let him go about his
Okay.
evening.
We'll do, so engineers report.
So I don't see the engineer here. Has anybody gotten word of?
I was not made aware
No?
that he wasn't coming.
All right.
Yeah, I was not either.
Um, But while we're on that agenda item, I did put in the district, in the board packet, the resignation of Gray Engineering, effective October 1st. So do we need to make a motion and accept that resignation, Cole?
You all don't really need to accept it because it's
Termination?
It's termination.
Okay.
Well, he's terminating the district,
Exactly.
Gray is terminating the district, so you don't necessarily need to accept, you can recognize it if you want.
Let's just recognize it. And then I would like to, I asked Mackenzie today to create a folder on the share drive for her to deposit all the district records in. 35 years of records is a lot of records, and we definitely need all the design plans for the infrastructure, the CMU walls, the lift station, real important, the lift station, all that work. So I don't know who's going to, in his resignation letter, he does mention the district records pending us paying his last check.
Yeah, I don't know if the Google Drive will fit all of those records.
Most of it's gonna be paper.
Yeah, and typically it'll be like in the situation like when I was hired to take over, all the records will get sent to whomever you all hired next.
It's typically what happens
Yeah.
for engineering firms, because they all tend to use GIS systems that are
Right.
like, a lot of those files are GIS file formats and things like that that will not convert to Google. So you're gonna be limited on what can be put out there. The folder's been created, they've been given access, so you all have access as well, Cole has access, so it's out there and
Well-
it's for use. Just know that all of it is not likely gonna be able to be put there.
Understood. At least all the engineering reports need to be out there. That's just PDFs. Things that a new engineer can go back and understand what has transpired, at least in the last 5 years, will be important.
I have a concern about the final payment, him not showing up here. It kind of, I look at it the other way, we won't pay you until we get the records, but how can we know?
The
All
bill,
the
this
records.
invoice is for work he's already performed, and so it's not in question. We have to pay him for that. There will be, I'm sure, another invoice for the transfer of records.
Right. Just him not being here is very,
Cole, do you know if he received a copy of the agenda?
Should have, yeah.
I just would think it's unlike her.
From you or Gabby?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, when we are doing it on a different
Uh-huh.
Wednesday.
That's what I'm
So-
curious about, because in the
Because he
email
never
of
misses.
the agenda, he wasn't on any of them.
We only send the agenda to you all and to the posting online. That's what we've always
He
done.
wasn't here he wasn't here when we discussed the meeting being on the 13th either, I don't think, because y'all discussed it at the end
At
of
the
your
end of
last
the meeting, he
regular
wasn't.
meeting.
That's gonna be one.
Well-
Just give them the benefit of the
Yeah,
doubt.
Right.
yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
because
thinking he didn't know that it was tonight, so.
Well, tell him-
I see him as a very,
Yeah,
he,
so just tell him, thank you and farewell.
Or he could come in October.
Or you could come in
Yeah.
October, yeah.
Or he could send in his September report via email, give it to the board, and
Yeah.
provide some sort of
Yeah,
written
usually he
update.
has an engineering report, some kind of update,
Yeah.
especially on the lift
There was
stations.
something in that engineering folder, was that not the?
No,
No,
that's
that
his
was a letter.
resignation.
Okay, I didn't open it, I just uploaded it.
I put that in there.
And you have the
that makes me feel a little better.
proposal from.
Yeah.
I haven't, I just didn't
Yeah.
put it on the drive.
Okay,
I thought maybe you or
I-
Renee would have.
I can put it on the drive right
Oh, I
now.
can too.
Okay.
What agenda item is that?
Okay, well, I guess we're not gonna do an engineer's report, so.
7.
So you want to go ahead and acknowledge the receipt of the
Resignation.
resignation?
Yes.
We keep that on record? Okay, so go for it.
I did,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have to vote on that?
No,
no.
Okay, good.
just acknowledge it.
All right, so consent agenda including approval of meeting minutes, August 22nd of '23.
I motion that we accept the meeting minutes as delivered. There was no errors.
Okay, do we have a second? I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain, Cole, I didn't get a chance to read them.
Okay.
I don't wanna.
Okay, number 4, accountant's report.
All right, Ashley is online, the accounting report is included in the drive for agenda item 4. Ashley, you wanna go ahead and test speaking, just to make sure they can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
They can.
You need me to do this whole?
Oh, no, that's
All right, so I added another page this month because we are getting closer. So if you go to page 2, you'll see a summary of funds. This is all of your bank accounts. You'll see that the first 4 are italicized. These are sort of estimates. The Cadence one is what I rolled from the last Infomark bookkeeping report into what we have been posting. So that'll be close. The next 3 are the August 31st balances, which means they don't take into consideration any checks that haven't cleared or anything that has posted since then in the last 2 weeks. But these are going to be close to what your balances are for your checking accounts. We are working on adjusting how many accounts we have. But you'll see that your tax pool and your GOF is sitting at $2.5 million, and then you have a CD we are working on closing because it is at a terrible, terrible interest rate. The tax pool for the debt service we have closed to general for this meeting because we did make the last bond payment, and then the tax balance at the bottom is the August 31st balance, and there may have been some new taxes posted since then, but it won't be too much more than that. So this is very accurate to where your funds are sitting right now. The next page is your cash flow. The balance rolls from your previous report, and the only receipts are wires to fund the checking account. You'll see all the fees of office that were paid since the last meeting. Kelly, we have yours. It is set up now. It's going to get run with the next security payroll, which I believe Lisa will be doing today or tomorrow. She has all the information she needs. She's going to be processing that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say something?
She said, okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're good.
We are voiding and reissuing an Infomark check with some adjustments. You'll find all of the backup for these invoices in the accountant's folder. Everything new starts at 6065 to 6101. And y'all should have all those checks to sign to see that the numbers match, that the invoices are there and match to that. You should have everything for that. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary. I already went over everything with Linda and Kelly. That'll leave your balance at $86,000 with the new wires. What I have in here is the last time I'm going to show this page. It's the schedule of debt service payments. I just wanted you to see what your last payment was and that there will be no more. Yay! That is all I have. If you have any questions for me.
I do.
Did you have a question?
So,
No, I will say that this was probably the easiest month of reviewing invoices ever. And the few things that were questionable were quickly resolved, so I'm happy about that. It's a nice change.
Kelly, you good?
Kelly, any feedback?
I'm good.
All right.
All right, thank you,
So-
Ashley.
I will make a motion.
All right.
Thank you, Ashley. I will move that
Thanks.
to
Have a good night.
pay the bills
Bye,
and
everyone.
invoices in the amount of $373,220.30.
Second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I would like to, if I could have just 1 minute, please take note of what Ashley has determined our general fund balance is. That puts us in a really good position for the budget in the coming year. once we determine how much you want to keep in reserve. So, just wanted to, since we didn't have that number at the last meeting, now we have a number.
All right, moving on to general's manager report.
Heidi, it is in there. Linda, you may not have had time to take a look at it. Reese did implement all of the changes that you requested to the various items. If you'll scroll down in that report to page 9 is where your executive summary will be. Your water accountability should have been in there. It came in after I completed this. Let me scroll down. That's going to be on page 30. And that one is still hovering at that 86. We should hopefully see something come after the most recent leak has been completed, because that was done at the end of that billing cycle. So I expect to see some change in that, at least a couple percentage. And then hopefully after Samco finishes this next leak detection survey, which I believe they were planning on starting later this week, if not first thing next week, that will be done, and then those leaks will hopefully even it out some more. That's all I have on that section. Go back up, sorry. My scroller is slow. Sorry. Okay. So back up, we had 119 delinquent letters mailed, 88 tags hung, 2 disconnects made for the total of the month, which is really great drastic change from the 119 to 88 to 2. So that was really good. We made some additional efforts of giving people calls and just trying to get payments in as we could. We won't always have the availability to do that, but where we can, we will. Sunchase Playscape removal has been completed as of last Friday, but Cole will have to let Derek know that his forklift was left behind.
I did. He said
Okay.
he's going out there to check it and or pick it up. He says he was not aware.
Oh.
So he's on top.
Okay, so the Old Mill tree trimming, we got in a proposal from Land Care for this one, and this is to trim outside of the normal scope of their contract. This is anything above 8 feet. They're willing to trim what's left over along Old Mill specifically. They provided a proposal further down, and the total cost there is $416 to just do the additional trimming that's above the contracted scope of 8 foot of a canopy. So we wanted to bring that to y'all's attention if y'all would like to entertain it as an option.
Where on Old Mill?
That's what I was thinking, where?
It's along Old Mill, and
It's 1100 Old Mill.
1100 Old Mill. So it's that, I think it's a large tree that's overhanging the power line area. It's one that's not going to fall within their normal scope, and it's a tree that's been an issue and continuously getting closer as it's grown.
To the power?
Yes. It's to trim the tree away from the power line at 1100.
No, it's for the light, street light.
Street.
Oh, well, he
Yeah.
put power line in his
Yeah, 'cause
quote.
we don't have
We
power.
don't have, we're
No.
all
It's
underground.
yeah.
Underground? Okay, well
It
then he
knocks
may
off
have...
the solar thing to turn the light
Oh,
on.
that's right, it
Yes,
did.
yes.
Okay.
It knocked off the solar powered portion of the light already. He put power line in his report, which is what threw me off.
So when I emailed PEC about the outage, they sent somebody out. They said that tree knocked off the UV cell, and they won't be able to replace it until the tree is
Till the
trimmed,
tree's
because it'll just continue to knock it off.
Do you need a motion for
We
that?
do, to approve it.
I make a motion to approve Land Care's proposal for $416 to do the tree trimming on 1100 block of Old Mill.
Second that.
Second, we have a second. Favor, say aye.
Awesome. So we actually reached out to CertaPro Painters to get an updated quote for the gazebo, yoga deck, and the repainting, restanding of the London Lane Pond Bridge. They let me know that they were trying to get out here this week / last week, but I think their schedule got pushed out due to some of this rain. However, they're really quick to get proposals back. Every time they've come out to some of our other districts, it's less than 24 hours later. So I should hopefully have a proposal to David and Kelly shortly after our meeting for those 3 items, and then you guys can take that under consideration.
You said London Lane Bridge, do you mean Madeline?
Madeline Loop,
Okay.
yes. I probably, it's Old Mill Gazebo, the yoga deck over in, it's Cashel, not Astor Pass. And then it's the Madeline Loop footbridge, is what I meant to say. Sorry if I mispronounced. So we should hopefully have something back for that. We did not have an infrastructure committee meeting this month, and so we didn't make any movement on that monument sign. But when we do, and you two are available, and you want to just talk about that, we can talk about options and what you would like to pursue to replace that monument sign next to Walgreens that we got a proposal for last month. That was an ungodly amount that we brought to you all and made the suggestion that maybe we should go with something smaller, particularly maybe just a small concrete sign or just remove it altogether. But we had said that we would discuss it under infrastructure. We just didn't have a meeting with them. So we'll leave that one on there until we can catch it. The quarterly playground inspections proposal was also included. It's further down in the report. I'm going to skip over that for now and just get through the rest of these items, and then we can talk about that one in a little bit more depth toward the end. Next up is the production at Anderson Mill West Park. I provided some input here in my report. You all were CC'd on the emails that I kind of had flying around last night regarding that event and what the board was and was not made aware of. Any communications I had with Dustin have since been shared with Mr. O'Toole, who's kind of requested some of that information in his email. There was a production notice placed at the pavilion. The pavilion was not rented by the production team nor anyone else, so there was no reservations impacted by the production for y'all's knowledge. No one was impacted by that. However, had they been, we would have let them know ahead of time, the production team, that the pavilion was off limits. But at that point in time, it's considered a first come, first serve because no one had it reserved. As far as putting the notice up, I did not get a request to put the notice up. I did not approve a notice going up. I was not made aware a notice was going up. And I don't think Cole was either. From all the communications we have with Dustin, the gentleman who sent in the initial inquiry through the district website, nothing was ever mentioned that it was going to be you're consenting to being on film and all of that. Now, in addition to that, a truck and a trailer was driven on park grounds. We did have the tech go first thing this morning and check after we got the picture from Mr. O'Toole yesterday. Thankfully, it does not appear that there was any damage done visibly, but we're going to have land care check the irrigation system because heads could have been damaged below the surface, things like that. So they'll be checking in the near future and let us know if they find any damaged heads where we've gotten the track of the picture of the truck moving back and forth. And that might be something we bring back next month if there are some irrigation repairs needed that you all will have to pursue through the production company for reimbursement. So just to keep that in mind. In addition to that, while the use of the park is not rentable, the pavilion is, and it would be different if there was another rental there that they then took over and there was a conflict between the two, but that didn't happen. There was not a need to do a commercial use for this one because we weren't told that they were going to just use the pavilion. We were just told they were going to do some filming in the park. We can't rent out the park. So that's kind of where we stand on that. It's public grounds. I've explained that in my email to Mr. O'Toole, but that's just kind of where we are on this. But I wanted to have an agenda item in case you all wanted to talk about it, and I've done enough talking.
So what pops to my mind on this is that I think, speaking only personally, is that when they requested permission to film in the park, I kind of had a failure of imagination, and I imagined a guy with a camera in the park. And so the lesson to me is we need to probably ask more questions next time. This definitely fell under commercial use. They should have reserved the pavilion. It's in the existing rules that commercial users have to reserve the pavilion. So I'm happy that no one was inconvenienced. I'm happy that nothing appears to be broken, but I think we've learned a lesson that we need to just ask a few more questions next time.
I think this was also a first-time situation. That's why when I kicked it to you all and Cole, I was like, if this is the first time that we've been asked this, how would y'all like to proceed? So absolutely, we should probably look into some sort of procedure for specifically filming. This hasn't been the first time we've been asked to do, I think, filming or pictures. So we might need to look into maybe not park rules necessarily, but that being a more one-off request situation. And because commercial users have to pay quite a large yearly fee just to use the facilities, not just a one-time use. So that might be something to consider and look into, is something specific to production, commercial use outside of that. I don't know how we would word that.
Well, to me, it's how often is this going to come up? To
Not
me,
that often.
It's once every 5 years, once in a lifetime, home renovation. You said that the permission for filming has come up in the past, you said?
I think we've been asked before for to film on the sidewalk or something really simple that required not a park, not a pavilion, and I don't think that there was any issue with that. But yeah.
What comes to mind, because to me, I I don't know if this would be directed to you, it's a First Amendment activity to be recording out in public and.
It's a public park, yeah.
Right, so we don't have any authority to tell somebody they can or cannot record in a public place. So I don't see the issue or the need to create something where we don't have the authority to tell people what they can and cannot do in public lands.
I think we're more concerned about the fact that they put up the notices in the rentable area of the park and not the rest of the park. We need to develop something that in the future, if we're requested to do something like this, we say, yes, but these are the rules that come along with that. No posting in the pavilions as they are rentable. No driving vehicles on park lands, no trailers, because that was never brought to anyone's attention.
Wow, you could just hop the curb.
Hop the curb, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, just those. I'm not talking about filming specifically. I'm just talking about rules that they'll need to follow specific to the rentable area of the park, and the fact that we don't allow you to drive motorized vehicles on any of our district property. So that's something we should consider as a small list of rules that if this does come up in the future, we just say, hey, you're more than welcome, we'll consider it. These are the rules you'll have to follow, attend a board meeting, and we can discuss it. And leave it at that, and then that way the board gets to decide and you get to ask your questions instead of this kind of being something that flew around that no one had really been addressed before. And it was just kind of like, well, what do we do? They're going to film. It's a First Amendment right. We can't tell them not to. And then there was no reservations. So there was no really need to do any back and forth.
Cole, why wasn't this put on the September 6th agenda, their request? I know it didn't require.
I think it was, yeah, it didn't require.
a motion.
No, I mean, I think I want to say the emails were sent before the September 6th meeting, and all the directors separately kind of responded back and said, that sounds great, we don't have an issue. So I don't think we put it on the agenda because of that. Correct. We also were under the impression that we knew that they were going to do some filming within the district. I didn't know the location, the pavilion, I guess, was the location. We were very explicit in don't park on the parks, keep all the vehicles on the roads. I think El Salito Parkway, you said to stay.
I told them not to park on El Salito,
not
to utilize Dagama.
And their big plans were to do a lot of the filming at the school. I will say I agree with Mackenzie, this is probably going to be a one-off type of thing. You might get a request like this in 10 years. It's not very common. What is more common is to have groups like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or different volunteer groups want to come in and partner with the district and say, hey, we want to do some sort of cleanup activity, or we want to paint the lines on the tennis courts for our volunteer work. Can we work with the district? A lot of districts do that type of stuff. We have agreements in place for those issues. In this case, that didn't happen, and one reason is that trying to think of how to state this. While I think it's important for all directors to be aware of what's going on, I would really prefer on matters like this to be the point person in terms of communicating with the third party, because I was getting emails from people saying, well, this has been approved, or we've already done this, and this is or phone calls, this has been done, or we've got the sign off from this person, and all we need to do is this, can you send them this? And I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on, because I haven't been roped into this. I don't have any issue with what's happening, but there are, indemnity agreements and right of entry agreements, stuff like that we typically make parties sign. So if there is an instance where there's a damaged water line, we have something in writing that we can hold them responsible to fix. And we don't have that here. Luckily, it doesn't sound like there is any damage, but I would say in the future for anything like this, limit the communication between directors and the third party, go through your attorney or your general manager, or go through the necessary consultant. And so if there's an issue that pops up and you want to communicate that, tell Mackenzie, tell me, we'll pass that on, and we'll be able to get that. But that way we can keep the stream of information going through one person and not through multiple people.
So that was something else that I noticed in Mr. O'Toole's email, that he said that Director Jones, they considered Director Jones their main point of contact, and I don't understand how that happened.
From what I gathered, as far as the emails go, so in my initial send out, everyone was CC'd. You all were blind copied. It was sent directly to Cole as a what do we want to do with this? So she was a part of that email, so she would have had his contact name and number from that first email. And so, but so did you all. I don't know beyond that what communications took place between Director Jones and the gentleman who was running the production, but I do know there was another email chain regarding a different item that came up that was not production related, that Director Jones responded to, that it was an email you had sent, that Director Jones had responded to, I believe, believing that that email was in conjunction with the production, but it wasn't. It had to do with the resident we're seeking assistance for. That's that email, and she had responded back and said that she'd spoken to Dustin at that point in time. So, to what extent was not expressed, and more or less just that there was no licensing or any permits required. Aside from that, those are the only communications I have seen where Director Jones has either discussed having conversations with Dustin or discussing anything directly with him.
Yeah, that's probably not a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea in any situation for a director. I mean, I think directors should be involved. That's why we have the BCC format to keep directors involved and in the loop. I'm not a fan of having, in very limited scenarios, I'll say I'm okay with it. I'm not a fan of really having the directors kind of act as the general manager and the attorney in terms of giving permission, or especially stuff like this. I mean, if it's something small, it's a small task, sure, I think a director can handle it as long as they CC the appropriate person, but...
Well, actually, it does violate the Open Meetings Act because directors do not have the authority to make decisions.
No, what I was trying to say, in the case where if the board voted and said, yeah, this director can reach out to this person and do it, I don't have an issue with stuff like that.
And there is, and we do have a resolution still on the books that allows the Parks Committee to approve park events and that kind of stuff, but the Park Committee. And it's limited in scope what they have the authority to approve, and when they do, it can only be within what's listed in that resolution. It's only when the general manager and
Can't
Stephanie
decide.
can figure out which part of the park rules that request falls under. So, yeah, their authority is very limited, and in the future rules, they won't need that because any decision made needs to be done in a public meeting.
Yeah, so I don't think it's anything, I mean, I think we'll check,
So I know that you all were CC'd on my email. I did ask Dustin who provided them the permission to drive the vehicle and the trailer on the park grounds. I don't know that I will get a response, but at least I asked because I know that I did not present that. I know that Cole did not. I was not asked if that was going to be something that was needed. I actually very explicitly told them when they let me know that the school was going to allow them to park, and they had mentioned parking on grass, that given the current drought conditions, that was absolutely not a good idea. So I just responded expressing extreme caution on parking on any grasslands. It wasn't necessarily specific to the district, but just in general because of the current drought conditions and fire hazard.
It's tinder. The hay out there is tinder.
Tinder.
it's
For a hot engine.
right for a spark,
Yeah. So that's kind of all we have.
Is it over?
Yeah, it was done on
Did they get the house
9/11.
built
One day.
or done or?
It was done on Monday.
Yeah, the one-day filming.
So
I don't know when it'll air.
So what they did is they let them know, and so they did the move out scene where they tell the person that they won the home makeover, and then they do the filming of moving them out to start the renovation. So I'm sure they're gonna want to refilm.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I read
later.
they're moving to Hutto.
Oh, they're moving?
They don't remodel the houses anymore, that they build a new
Oh.
one
I didn't know that.
somewhere else.
Oh,
Sign me
that's
up.
how the sausage is made.
Sign me up.
I don't know. I still don't know which house it was. Well, either way, then it sounds like they're going to Hutto, so
Well,
maybe we won't have a refilmation.
congratulations to them.
All right, next up is streetlights. The Spectrum Retirement Community one. Did we get that proposal in time?
Yes.
Okay,
it's
he
in-
did. What page is it on? Because I know we were waiting
It's
on
down.
it.
Let's keep going.
Okay. That's NNC. Here you go. It's the Hollywood Electric one. It's page 13 of the packet. It's rather pricey. The one on El Salito Parkway is the one that we're talking about. That is the 13,510. And then there's one on Little Elm that we also need to replace. That is the 12,988. The 13,510 is the additional pole near the driveway.
Wait,
I know.
this is nuts.
Streetlights are not cheap.
Is this the only people who can do it?
No, but I will tell you their prices are usually extremely good. What's going to happen is they have to create an entirely new concrete base. It goes well deep into the ground. It connects to the electrical system underneath. They tie into PEC's lines and all of that. So they do all of that work. And then what happens is after this happens, we tell PEC, we got a new street light, you take it up for maintenance. And that's what they do.
That's $25,000
For
for
two
two
street
streetlights.
They're very
So
expensive.
is that the ballpark cost that we had to pay? Obviously, inflation and things are more expensive now.
Yep.
When we installed all the streetlights in this district?
When you installed the streetlights in this district, you did it under a developer's bond. So all of the developing, including the roads, all of that was done under bonds that took place when you first started the district.
No,
Not
but
true.
there was additional,
No, there were no streetlights in this district 33 years ago. Those streetlights.
They were done after?
Yes, well after, and I'll bet you that's exactly what that bond,
in '03.
that tap in on that bond was.
Potentially. Typically, you do it under a bond
They
item.
would have had to
Because I
have used bonds. They would have had to have.
We had
How many
new
are there?
streetlights,
Louis Overground did this
10.
project,
10,
and he didn't call them streetlights because they,
oh no,
there was
yeah,
some-
watchman lights.
there was some law that said you can't put streetlights out anymore, and I don't know why. So they called them night watchman lights. What was that? Do you know about that?
No, I'm gonna guess if it has something to do with road powers, but I'm not sure.
Perhaps. Anyways, water under the bridge. I love the streetlights. I'm sure everybody else does too.
I don't,
Except
So
David.
did they both want the same
But
one
that's
for
really
Little Elm?
expensive. So the one that
It is
fell
very
on Little Elm, Mackenzie, was that a car accident that knocked it down?
I don't believe so.
Why did it fall?
I think it was leaning. And we don't have
no,
record
it
of,
was
it all the
on
way
ground.
down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if it got hit, it wasn't reported to me that we saw someone hit it or whatever the case may be. So likely, could be, but I don't know for
You
sure.
don't know for sure. Okay, and let's just stop here. Let's pause for just 1 minute, because I do want to tell Cole, because this is a
You got
memory job.
5,500.
Don't know about the
Okay,
street light,
twelve
can't
thousand?
speak to how it came down, but we do have a fire hydrant that was hit by a car, and you know all that story?
No, but I've heard that story many times
Okay,
before.
so I told the bookkeeper and I told Mackenzie, they have all the police report and evidence of who did it, that they need to pursue that person's insurance to pay that, it's almost $7,000 to replace that fire hydrant that a car knocked into.
So,
So I don't know how you do that.
I'll send you, I have an email half typed to you. It was
Okay.
during our committee meeting.
Okay.
sorry to interrupt, but if we can just pop, okay.
Oh, yeah, I just want, because I remember, so
Okay.
that,
So
just like
recommend
ditto,
what?
if we could figure out who knocked over that street light,
Yeah.
they're responsible for the insurance.
Okay, so he didn't.
I wonder if you could
If
have,
there's a police report.
Mackenzie, have you submitted a claim to the district's insurance?
No, we didn't, but we can. That's not a problem. The thing is that even if you do an insurance claim, they don't pursue, I think they require us to pursue, that we just get them involved in the process. But I'll check. I
Or you
haven't
could
done
at
one
least
for
see what the deductible is and do.
That was my concern,
File a
because I
claim for the
don't,
hydrant and
I
the
think it's
street
gonna be
lights
very
and then,
close to the deductible.
yeah. Well, then if anything else happens, then it's really
Yeah,
golden.
so the street lights, I'm sorry, David, that I got out of order, but I would have forgotten if we moved on.
So do we have to take action on this?
You don't, so
Okay.
So the reason why if you look at the quote just before that, the M&C quote is different. It's for the same light on Little Elm. The problem is that in that quote, he didn't quote replacing the conductors, which are underneath the traffic cone, which is part of the reason why the bases of these are extremely expensive. He says the conductors were extremely damaged whenever this was hit and it fell over. He was suggesting to ask whoever hit it or removed it, which it was removed by being hit. It was disconnected.
Where'd it go?
our guys picked it up. When we were told that it was laid down, we sent someone over to put it in the bed of a truck and take it. So it's at Hatch, I believe.
Okay.
That's usually where we take those because they don't fit anywhere
Yeah,
else. But so we can kick this over to a committee if you want to let the infrastructure committee weigh the options or something, or the parks committee, whomever.
Well,
But
how pressing is this, you know?
it's not. So I
is it
wouldn't
a
call
hazard?
it.
Is it a liability, for the district if there's this?
I think you have other streetlights in the area that the Little Elm one is, and they're working fine. So one streetlight being out does not cause the district a liability. The other streetlight is a special request, so it's definitely not a liability.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I don't think there's any liability.
So, MNC wants, and I know their proposal is not accurate. Is that what you're
It
telling
is
me?
accurate with the suggestion that they're making that the conductors need to be done as well. We want them to do the conductor portion, which is the concrete base portion where the light hooks up to the PEC system, it's going to be at an additional cost because they're extremely damaged.
But you didn't put that in the proposal?
No, he sent it in an email separately to Reese to
Well,
say.
what's the grand total then of his proposal?
We'll have to ask him because he was suggesting that we could pursue that as an additional cost if we wanted to. So that might be something we can look into the
So
insurance for.
MNC is leaving it up to the board to decide if we need to do
If-
that, and Hollywood Powers says we need to do that?
Yes, Hollywood would just give us a cost to do the entire thing.
Just, yeah.
Why don't you let me get another updated proposal from MNC
I
and see
think
how
that's a
close they
great
are to
idea.
Hollywood?
We could hold on this up.
Yeah, but my question is, do you want this to go to a committee before it comes back to the board?
I don't think, well,
To a committee to do what we know
Yeah.
we need.
If you get it back and it's high, do you want me to go to someone else? Do you?
Yes, we always want you to find the least
else,
expensive.
right, you know, I don't think.
Well,
we
but
need
then
to-
at that point, Hollywood would be the lower bid, so,
Can
okay,
we
I'm
get
just,
one more to see.
It's always best to
I can
have
try.
three.
I can try. The thing is that these two are the most responsive that I've found. Others will sometimes take quite a while, but I'll ask.
Can you try one that you've never tried before and say, hey,
Do you want to give me one?
Okay.
They're hard to find.
They're not that easy to find.
I like doing research.
You've
so-
seen their work and
Yeah, Hollywood has been phenomenal with the base light repairs where the bases have been damaged. MNC is great for the needed repairs to like small light fixtures and things like that, but they're also good with items like this. The problem is that I don't think I've ever asked them to do a full street light repair. Hollywood I have, and I've seen their work. They are expedient, timely. They get out there the same day. If I tell them a light is down and I don't have a guy available to grab it, he'll come grab it the same day with no issue. So I have good experience with both, but I don't mind if you want to send me one. I'll
Yeah,
ask.
I'll look into it. I know some
Aside,
guys.
sounds good. Aside from that, we've discussed the 1100 Old Mill one. You approved the proposal for land care to trim that tree. Once it's trimmed, we'll get back in touch with PEC to let them know they can reinstall a new Yuba cell. The security committee one, I put that under security committee because that's who initially handled this contract. The recommendation of Dirk Fabre with the budget having been that we've negated this cost in the budget moving forward is to terminate the USDFPS contract for the roving patrols. And so that is on your agenda for tonight. There is a contract with them, so it would require, I believe it's 30 days notice. And then Cole can follow suit, but I believe it's gonna need at least a board motion to include it in the minutes. I know it's, what is it called, implied with the budget, considering we've negated it moving forward, but we wanted it to be as a standard agenda item to allow you all to vote and terminate.
I'll make a motion. I move that we discontinue the USDFPS road patrol services for the time being.
Second that.
okay, wait a second. We need to have discussion over this or?
I don't have a lot of information on this. Has it been affected?
Okay.
No, it hasn't
Okay.
been. Well, that's not a fair statement.
So, and that's
They
the-
come into the district 2 nights a week on Friday and Saturday
Okay.
from 10 p.m. until 4 in the morning.
Can you ask him to get us
And
that?
their whole purpose is to be
For
a
each
deterrent. They have reported in the entire time they've worked for us, they have reported 0 incidents. They have never seen anything, they have never intervened in anything. They've never had to make a phone call to law
Who has
enforcement.
spoken to them? Who is their contact?
Um,
Who do they speak to?
They
If they need
report to the
anything-
constable,
They report to the constable. If they need anything billing wise, they'll contact me or whomever.
and then initially they were providing reports. And so they haven't, because I was on the security committee at that time, and it was, okay, I don't need you to send me a report that says, no, it's nothing to report. Only send me
Okay,
something
when there's
concrete,
something.
there's something.
Okay.
There's been nothing. And it is almost $45,000 a year. So it's a lot of money with little return. And we have no issues. Nobody's complaining about cars breaking in at night or any of that. It's not happening here.
At the time that y'all entered into that too,
That was a problem.
there was a heightened point in time of car break-ins and among other things.
There was a couple that got caught. They actually did get caught. They were
And maybe that was who was doing it, but all's good, and it's money that we don't need to spend, so we shouldn't spend, is my theory on it.
I've
What are
never
your
seen them in
thoughts?
the district.
Huh?
Have you seen them in the district?
No,
Has
I've not.
anybody?
I have actually, I have found them parked over at Cypress Elementary. Again, they are supposed to be a deterrent, and their lights are going, so that's a deterrent, so. I have seen them once in all this time, so
So, motion?
I've made a
You
motion.
made a motion, you have a second, right? Okay,
Yes.
any thoughts on this, Mackenzie, from your experience overall? Do you think this is, I know we've been talking about this since, I think I heard when Art was actually sitting and was over, I think, security committee. So, and we were going back and forth on this, and I know it's been months since we've been talking about this, so.
I don't
anything,
see
how do
any
you see
issue with
this?
it. When we brought them on, we were in a point in time where we were having break-ins, we were having numerous things reported, and then at that time too, we had limited hours that we were available to utilize some of the constables. So we used them as the filler for hours where the crime seemed to be happening or roughly around. So they were a fill-in for hours that we didn't have available through your use of your contract with the constables. So at this time, I don't see an issue with it at all. We don't have, to my knowledge, I'm not getting reports of break-ins or people being harmed and harassed to the extent of needing a deterrent currently for the current future. Now, obviously, if it comes back up, you have them and you can utilize them again. They're all contract workers, so this is extra money for them. So it's something that they do on the side, aside from their regular day job, so.
Well, we can always have them back.
Exactly, they're not gone forever.
And they're not the only company either, there are others out there, so.
Okay.
So we just need
All right, ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. All right.
Awesome. So the only other thing I had on mine was the item I hadn't gone over yet, and that's the Park Pro Tech quarterly maintenance inspections for all of the playscapes in and throughout the district. I did ask them, just for you ladies' sake, about the invoice. I have not heard back yet, but I did send an email to ask Dustin if he could please make sure that that gets sent in. Obviously, we want to pay it, so made that good faith effort there. Kelly, did you get a response from them? I haven't checked. When you had asked them for an update to this?
Yes.
Okay, and so this might or should
He
be.
did send one, and I, in the parks folder,
Okay.
I put one too.
Okay, it might be the same one. I just wanted to double check with you that you had gotten a response back from what you had asked. I totally overlooked it if I
Yeah,
was
it's in
CC'd.
here, he
Okay.
added Astor Park,
Okay, perfect.
so you guys can see, all the services that they're gonna provide for this base fee. Measuring the safety surfaces, tightening, replacing the hardware. They will replace the, standard nylon nets on the basketball courts, clean graffiti, clean up trash in the area, inspect the shade structures for loose hardware, and every playground is going to get an inspection so that we can identify any issues that may have popped up. And so this estimate is for all the parks, of course, except Sunchase Park, because that is still in pending status. So you could probably expect $350-ish extra per quarter to be added to that once we have something in Sunchase Park.
To inspect.
to inspect. But I think this is a great value. I think it'll give the district a lot of protection from liability to show that we're active and engaged in our parks and keeping up on the maintenance so that we don't have another, $6,000 swing repair because of the lack of preventative maintenance.
They'll also be available when you get a new playground installed to inspect that initially before you sign off from the installer. So
Which
that's
is
another
required
thing.
by the AST.
It is. Most companies that you purchase a certified play structure through, whether ASTM and in additional standards, they provide their own inspection typically. If you would like to choose to utilize your own, you could choose Park Protect, have them do the inspection themselves. It's typically included in the cost, so it's not going to be a cost break, just keep that in mind. But you can have the addition of an additional inspection just as a checks and balances if you'd like to, utilizing Park Protect.
So my calculation is $6,060 a year, $1,515 a quarter? Yes?
Currently,
Yep.
yes.
And just keep in mind.
Prior to sunshine.
Yeah.
Prior to Sundays. And I do move that we accept this proposal.
Second that.
Motion. We have a second. Do we need any further discussion? Good. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
My only comment is there's some language I'd like to revise in the agreement, so approve it, I'll have Dustin change that language and then send it over to Kelly for signature or to you for signature.
What language?
Governing law, state of Nevada.
Yeah, I'm moving.
It's too hot.
Oh, yeah, I'm not moving.
The only other item under the general manager's report was one for Linda, and that is the refunding customer deposits in excess of 200. I don't know that you're ready to.
I am ready to have a little brief discussion on it, that we've already agreed to do it. I have a spreadsheet, I have an Excel file now that I need to sort, and then figure out the best way going forward, how we're gonna do that. After looking at the artisan bill this month, I am going to suggest that we put credits on the accounts because the cost of services for artisan that are above and beyond their normal work is going to be very expensive. Their onboarding expenses are very expensive. So if once I get it sorted, and I will present all to the entire board, the accounts with just $100 in excess, or 200, 300,
And we're gonna
1,000 in excess. We might do something different with those accounts that have 1,000 in excess on their account. But let me pull it together. I just got a complete spreadsheet, and if I can manipulate, if I can open it, I will be able to sort it and give you detail, and then with recommendations on how to best go forward and not run up a lot of accounting costs issuing 3,000 checks. Or wouldn't be that much. It's only 1,900 homes, but you get what I'm saying. So that's where we are on that. Thank you for putting it on the report.
So defer that, or carry it over to.
Carry it over,
Okay.
yes. That concludes the manager's report, unless you guys have any questions. Just as a small note, because it was not in there before you started the meeting, Cole did send over the one proposal response or qualifications response he received for agenda item 7, so I've made a folder for that. We'll get there in a minute, but if you want to start taking a look at it now as we make our way there, that is the one response for the RFQ for engineering that we did receive.
Did it close?
Yes, it closed on the 11th. That was the date in the RFQ you had given. But I'm not trying to jump to agenda item 7. I just want y'all to start taking a look at it. The next one is under the Parks Committee, but I think we've covered the quarterly inspections. Did you have anything else, David and Kelly, for the Parks items? Was there-
Lights in Sunchase.
Yes, so we talked about that before you got here. I showed David a control panel here, what the lights look like. The tech Was not able to get them to turn back on. It's not a very understanding panel. I think David can understand that when I say it's not a simple button or dial. It's a pretty large panel with a bunch of different buttons and lights. It's historically been something handled by M&C, and what we plan to do this time is ask them to come out to do the one at Sunjust, because they're the ones who actually came out on Friday to turn them off so that Land Care could come out Saturday to take the tree down, because the issue was, one, that tree had a light on it. Two, it goes straight down into where the base of the tree grows. So that's where it goes into the ground. So we didn't want that to be a hot wire when they cut the tree down on Saturday. The one that was leaning into the neighbor's backyard. So that's why that all happened. And then in addition to that, we're going to have the tech go and train along with them to try to learn it as best he can, that panel, to turning them off and turning them on. Because like I said, it's not a simple dial. It's not a simple button. It's a rather, it almost looks like a full breaker box in and of itself. It's pretty big. So that's where we are with it. He did try to turn them back on. They did not come back on. I'm kind of concerned it just negated the timer. That typically is what happens when you turn them off and reset it. The timers have to be reset. So
What happened to the light that was on the tree? Is it just laying there?
no, it might be laying there. However, I did ask him and see if they could go and remove it or disconnect it. That I would like for them to, if they didn't feel like it was a safe option because of any way that it's connected. Then we would wait until the tree was removed and then have them come out and remove it from the system. Because you can't just cut it off. I can't have a tech go cut it.
Capped.
Correct. That's what I'm saying, and I don't
Like the other one
know.
that fell.
Do what?
Like the other one that
Correct.
broke in the storm.
So I was going to ask. Go ahead.
Why can't, if they're gonna come out and remove it?
They can cap it too. It just
Well,
depends on their availability.
Because there's already a cap on one that was broken, why can't they just use that cap, put it on the one that's there, and move the one that's working back on that tree?
I can ask them. I'm not sure how those lights plug and play. I have no idea.
So in the ice storm, we lost a light on one of the park trees. They came out and they capped that
The line,
line.
the electrical line.
So there's one tree that there's the branch that was on fell, didn't have anything, they didn't replace it. So I'm just thinking maybe grab that and put it on the tree that's there existing and
I'll ask them.
switch it.
I have no issues asking. I'm just not sure how
much
they
does
go
that cost us?
together. Typically, if it's a simple move, it's not very expensive. To be honest, it's usually less than $100 for them to come out and take care of something that simple. If they have to get parts and things like that, obviously your cost will go up a little. But if you have the parts on hand and they can plug and play, it shouldn't.
It should be plugged.
It should be fairly simple. But I will ask.
Okay.
I'm completely unsure of how the two go together.
So you think the timer got reset and?
When they had to cut full power to those lights, I think the timer likely got reset and it needs to be redone, which our guy would not know how to reset your timer. That's always been something handled by M&C, so.
Tomorrow can Alan let me in so I can take a picture of that panel? And this way I
Can you make note of that to get with Alan to let David in tomorrow? What time
This
would
panel?
work good? To the one at the lift station,
Oh, okay.
Sunchurch lift station.
actually tomorrow might not work.
What if I let Alan go get a picture of it and send it to you?
You're gonna charge us for that picture.
No, I won't. I won't charge you for that picture. He's your base tech. If he does it, I don't charge you for it.
Okay.
If I have somebody else do it, I have to charge you for it. If Reese does it, I don't charge you for it. If I do it, I don't charge you for it.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
No, we're not done with her yet.
No,
Still
we're
need
done
the
with,
general
we're done
With
with
that light.
street lights.
Yeah.
Well, the park lights,
Okay,
right?
Yeah, sorry, park lights.
yeah, we're done with that, and we're done with project. I'm
Is there anything else, Kelly, that you want to ask?
Do we want to talk about the RFP for Sunchase Park now or under the Parks?
I'm not done with the general manager's report.
Yeah,
Okay.
let her finish the general manager's report.
Yes,
And
and,
then, yeah, we can
Yeah.
move on to.
yeah, we're almost to.
Okay.
What do you have?
I thought
I'm
you said
done
that was
with
the
the
last
executive
thing.
summary.
Okay, well, one thing you did not cover in your management report, Mackenzie, is the Infomart increase to the base fee.
Okay, yeah, I did not see that we included it. I typically include that in October. So, we got it early this year. I didn't know that you put it in there. I took it off.
Effective October 1st.
Yeah, Which, and we typically always do it in October and then it's retroactive for a month. So
Okay.
that is your annual increase for the year. I had not had enough time to review it, that's why I had initially taken it out, but I didn't tell Reese that, so she included it, that's okay.
So I would like to make a motion. I move that the contract with Infomark be renegotiated to cover the work actually performed for the base fee contract amount.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a second. Let's enter into discussion. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, this is now up to $56,805 per month. This is a per month fee. Plus, we're getting separate billing for repairs and maintenance, which averages between $7,000 and $10,000 a month. So for $56,000 a month, I would like to be able to quantify and identify exactly what that covers. And I'm available to follow anyone for a day, a week, a month, whatever it is, because that seems exorbitant to me. That is a huge amount of money. And when I look at the contract for Infomark, I see a lot of things that are outlined in the base fee that we hire other providers for, like website is one example. I think if we truly look at what we actually get for this money, I think it is possible that we might be able to negotiate a lower base. And then, and if you guys have been with us for so long, this is the perfect opportunity to look hard at what our operator actually does for us and then start comparing prices. Because as much as I adore you, that's a huge sum of money. And I am more of the opinion that increases are based on merit, not just because another year has passed. So again, that's how your contract's written, that it goes up every year no matter what. Then let's see what that additional $2,000 a month is buying us.
So, are y'all comfortable with me adding in here?
Not yet, because we're having this discussion first.
Okay.
So that's my take on these contracts that have automatic increases built in. And for somebody like waste management, where the cost of service has literally increased, there's no arguing. And they do it with the consumer price index. This is just across the board flat fee. And we have, and
This
here's
is
an
with the
example.
consumer price index as well.
Here's an example. This is why I think it needs to be looked at closely. In this month's invoices, we had our full-time park tech put up a volleyball net. It required one other employee from Infomark to come over here. That was all billable, another $200+ to help the park tech hang a volleyball net. Same story, different work order on repairing a fence that belongs to the school, Cypress Elementary, to protect children from falling down in the Tacoma Pond. Perfectly legitimate thing to do, but again, our full-time person couldn't do it alone. They had to bring in more resources from Infomark, and then they billed us for that person's time and vehicle. So I'm just thinking, what does the base fee buy us when here's another example. Wastewater Transport came to do a maintenance on the lift station. Now, she did credit this one back. But instead of our park tech unlocking the gate for them in the middle of the day, a person from Infomark came in. We were billed for that person's time and their vehicle to unlock the gate so Wastewater Transport could do the job. There's just so much of that where it's not, if our base fee covered all those things, it might make sense. But if we're paying this base fee plus an additional fee from Infomark to do those things that are covered in the base fee, then it no longer makes sense. It's too much money. And this district going forward can't afford those kind of increases. At some point, the cost to use Infomark as our operator will exceed our budget limits. And so again, Mackenzie, I mean this sincerely when I tell you, I think you guys do a great job. I just don't know enough about everything that's being done, and I really need to understand that before I could ever tell anyone that I thought that was a fair amount. Because what I see in the additional billing is we are relying on more resources from Infomart and paying them additional sums of money. So at the end of the year, we're over $2 million to Infomart. That's a huge sum of our budget. Too much, too much. So please don't resign on us. I'm not looking for that. I am looking to understand where all this money is. What does it cover? I know what the contract says, but I also see those work orders every month, and that whole list of base service fees, they don't happen every month rightfully. Some things are on an annual basis. Some things never happen. We don't have a wastewater treatment plant. So when we really get down to the nitty-gritty, what's actually happening in the district? So I'll need to see work orders, and I'll need to compare it against contracts to put that together. This is just a look, and then an opportunity to negotiate with Infomart on a base fee that's more in line with other districts. And if it works, that's phenomenal. And if it doesn't work, then we have to find alternatives to an operator. Because like I said, at some point, with this rate of increase, you're going to exceed what we have available. So better to look early than be confronted with it when it happens. So my motion is to attempt to renegotiate the contract with Infomart using coal. But before we ever get to the table to do that, I really need to understand what happens on a day-to-day basis, the standard operating procedures of the district.
I mean, absolutely. I just don't have written documentation of that necessarily. I mean, I can give you exorbitant amount of work orders. There's a lot of work orders you obviously don't see on a monthly basis. Anything that Alan is on that is considered base, and we don't present them to the client.
Maybe that would be so helpful if I could see those.
Oh, I can get you. Yeah, that's not a problem.
You know, if it's like this because what I see is like this, but if it's like this, may just make sense.
So keep in mind, your $9,000 this month, that was 100, I think, and 15 work orders for the entire month's worth. You didn't see that though. You only saw the ones that were billable. So I go through all of those and take them out. And
well, let's sit together and let's look at them, and then I can ask my questions and we can just move on down the road.
that's fine. I want to add to some of what you said to help you all understand. You had mentioned not understanding what the increase covers, and comparing it to waste management is actually a great comparison, because we, just like waste management, have fleet vehicles that have to have maintenance, that have to be replaced over time. Gas prices go up. We never presented a fuel surcharge to y'all. Throughout all of the gas price hikes, increases, that never happened. So we've actually cut back on areas where we didn't provide increases on things like that, where Sunscapes at the time did. I think Waste Management has already. So those are things that we haven't done. We have done in other districts, but we've selectively picked who we've given them to and tried to give our more long-standing contracts breaks on things like that, just because we could. Now, in addition to that, we utilize the Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI increase formulas. We don't just give you a percentage that we determine ourselves. That's what you have there on, what page is that? 22 of the manager's report. If you look at that breakdown there, that gives you the price index from this last year to the current price index, and it tells you the percentage change. The index table, if you're curious and you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is that index table CUUR with a bunch of zeros and then several characters there at the end. You can find this exact table on the Bureau of Labor Statistics website, which is also where Waste Management gets their percentage increase formula from as well. They utilize a different table. We utilize one strictly for water, wastewater services, things of that nature. It has nothing to do with us determining it, we utilize the tables of the federal government to provide our increases to our districts. We also do a cap at 5%. We won't go over 5% even if the table says to do so.
What page did you tell me that the?
It's on page 22 of the manager's report, the very top section there where it says client,
Oh, yeah, I see.
and then it's got that BLS index table. You can copy that into the Bureau of Labor Statistics website and find the exact table that has the price index numbers that are just further over there. So as far as
Am I correct that it's a 4.686%
You are correct.
increase?
that is what the Bureau of Labor Statistics table for this year shows as an increase on water wastewater services specifically. So just as a comparison's sake for you all to understand, our increases track the same way that Waste Management's or most large suppliers do. As far as what that funds anybody who got an increase. I mean, price of labor has gone up extensively. That covers things of that nature. It's a 4.6% increase for the things that we absorb in a year to run your district. Like I said, fuel surcharges, maintenance on vehicles, employees getting pay increases that have been here for your district specifically. You're not paying for others, but it's those types of standard things that happen throughout the year that we provide increases for through our increase of a contract. Now, I am not against renegotiating the contract. This contract was done long before I ever got here, and I will tell you it is not well written at all. I've heard this from many people within our company that have seen it since. So that's not an issue. I have no issues there. And I have no issues with a lower base fee. The problem is you're going to have higher T&M if that happens. So
Maybe.
You will. I'm telling you right now, you will. And that's because what happens when we do a lower base fee is we don't give you a standard rate table like you have in your contract now. We don't utilize that any longer. What we do is you get a price per lift station, per facility, per management person and ops coordinator. We don't do percentages of time and people in the contract anymore because it's pointless unless you have 100% dedicated personnel like Reese and Alan. And the reason why that's pointless is because there have been times where I've come to meetings and spent more than 70 hours in a 2-week period solely on the district where we didn't charge you for it. We didn't overage you for it back when we were doing 2 meetings a month, sometimes 3. We kind of go with the ebb and flow of the district. We don't try to make it to where you're getting an extra cost because your district needs are changing is the point. So that's just what we would be moving away from, just to keep in mind with a contract renegotiation. And you might be completely fine with that. Just know that we don't use this contract format anymore. We are completely happy to move away from it, which is why we were also completely happy to move away from the caps. That was a mess. Y'all were not present for caps, but Linda was, and she's well aware of them. We used to have maintenance caps, and they made the whole accounting process a whole cluster. So I'm not in any way upset with a renegotiation. I'm totally fine with that. Now, if you're looking to bring down the base fee, though, and I'm okay with that, just know that there will be personnel changes that come with that and the way that the district has dedicated personnel. So just keep that in mind. Now, we have other districts that do this. So it's obviously, we do this for many, and we have some that we do a wastewater plant, 6 lift stations, and they have their own operator and things like that. We have no parks techs dedicated to those districts. We utilize what we call our floater techs for those districts. So that also keeps it difficult when you have a district that the same person isn't always in. Things don't always get done the same way. They don't know the schedule. So that's just something to keep in mind in a renegotiation, is having a dedicated person is good. Now, there are just going to be times where that dedicated person cannot do a job by themselves. And I can't rightfully say that the person he needed help from hanging a volleyball net that requires 2 ladders and making a net taut on 2 sides, I can't make that magically happen with one person. That's just one of those things you just can't necessarily do. So just those are things to keep in mind. And same thing with the fencing. It wasn't repairing the fencing of the school. I know that's how you had phrased it. It was adding fencing just further down from a fence that was broken of the schools to where it's I think it's a 45, 50 foot drop into one of the district ponds that we had put up the orange fencing staked into the ground and then taut around. So there are just going to be times where the tech needs an extra helping hand. and that's what we bill for, because he's not covered in the contract. So that's what it's for. I know Kelly's new, I know Hanoi is new, I know David, you're not new, but the contract itself and the way that things read, I'm okay moving away from. We personally don't like it any longer. We don't use that format anymore. But just know a lower base fee doesn't always mean your T&M is going to stay the same. It will change, but it has the, I'm not saying you can't get a lower base fee and not make it to where the district isn't paying as much. I'm trying to explain it in the format of lowering the base fee won't have that effect every month moving forward.
Of course. And one thing I think that the board needs to understand, in case they haven't picked up on this, is that repair and maintenance, that T&M, most of those work orders where they have to call like wastewater transport out here to do something, Infomart upcharges everything 15%. So in addition to the base fee, for making a phone call for somebody else to come out here and do the work, they get 15% of the contract. And when wastewater transport came out here in March, this was double-digit thousands of dollars. And I started marking on invoices exactly what that 15% was on every one of those invoices. It's substantial. It's substantial. So again, I want to understand it better. I need to see what actually happens in the district for this amount of money. And all we can go off of, McKinsey, is your current contract and what's listed in the base fee, and I'll just check them.
And so to add to the 15%, Linda, I know that you could do this, but it's hefty. However, the way that covers things for us, so let's say you go to a bank and you need money and you need it that day, that moment. The way that we utilize that 15% is it covers the overhead of the departments that have to then source that money from Infomart, because it's not the district's money until you pay us for it. We foot the bill for those items, those thousands and thousands of dollars that wastewater transport wants to be paid. We pay that first.
Not true.
Yes, it
We're
is.
paying it in this invoice. You didn't pay it, or we wouldn't have that invoice.
That's not true, Linda.
I've
The
called
way that a
wastewater
purchase order works, is that when we need to utilize a third-party contractor, they have to set up a vendor agreement with Infomark, and in that agreement, they get to pick net 30, net 60, whatever options we have for them to choose for their payments. They then conduct the service with the promise of us that we're going to pay them when we receive that invoice. So what happens is they conduct the service, we receive the invoice, we attach it to the PO, we make sure that same invoice goes to the work order, then that work order gets billed out through the district, but Inframark pays that vendor first. So
we have so many checks that we write directly to wastewater transport or Alterman. No, you're right. I apologize. You are absolutely correct. That does go under your repair and maintenance.
So we pay that first. So that's what I'm saying. That 15% covers us having to fork out money of our own to pay the district's expenses while you wait for your meeting to be able to pay for those expenses.
So when you negotiate the contracts or the agreements with these vendors, you get the net 30, net 60, whatever it may be, doesn't that buy us the time to have these meetings to be able to pay them for their services?
No, not necessarily, because in the majority of them, it's net. So let me correct that. It's net 15, 20, 30, and 60 is an option. Majority of them are always going to pick the fastest option.
Absolutely.
So it's not a negotiation per se. It's a way that the vendor gets set up in the system and the way that they request to be paid. Now, that is all based off of when they submit and we receive the invoice. It has nothing to do when this board meets to make payments. But what that also covers is the liability on Infomark to say, I trust that the district is going to pay us for this, so we're going to go ahead and pay you now. And it covers AR, AP, payment processing, people that aren't listed out in your contract, to go through and make sure all of that gets paid and handled. That's what the 15% markup covers for us, is the portion of that that's not included in a person that sits here in the district. And they're constantly doing that. So every Alterman invoice, every wastewater transport invoice, any third-party invoice that flows through us, it's not like it's 15% back in our pocket. I will tell you, our competitors have as high as 20%, some have 30%. So it's a pretty standard rate. We try to stay in the middle of the road between the highest and the lowest. You're going to get it with almost any contractor you can request from. It's part of any T&M work and almost any contract. You're gonna have a markup on it for them to be the one that takes the liability to make the payment to the vendor, hoping that the district is going to reimburse them for that.
It might be more advantageous then for us to hire a general manager, a park tech kind of person, a support kind of person, and pay our own bills. We might be able to save money by just hiring not a company, but employees that work for the district, and let them handle all that. Because we have the money, as you can see by our financial records, to pay our own bills as they come up. And, I mean, there are districts who actually run that way. They don't hire what kind of company is it? They don't hire a water service company like that. They literally hire employees that work directly for the district. It's something to consider down the road, not tonight. My motion is to attempt to renegotiate Infomark's contract once we determine exactly which pieces of that contract Infomark actually performs for the district.
I also want to notate one more thing. Linda brought up the district website.
Yes.
When you all signed on with us, you had a much more simplistic website that was run through some other format person, party website, web hoster. At the time, your ops coordinator, admin, learned that site and utilized it. When the district voted to move to Touchstone, that came at an additional cost because Touchstone is a communications company. They get money based off of running websites and doing things of that nature. So it's not that we are not performing our duty for the district. We adapted to what the district made a change to, and we do make every change that we humanly and possibly can without the help of Touchstone. And if we can't, if it requires coding, if the page is not accessible to us on the back end, those are the types of changes that have to run through Touchstone. The majority of which, most of the time, do not require additional costs. Especially if it's not something we can do. They're typically pretty understanding if I say, hey, I don't have access to this, or hey, where is this? They understand it has coding, they'll take care of it. Now, if we do mass website changes and mass updates, yes, they do charge an additional amount for that. Now, as far as understanding what you're getting from Touchstone, as far as the services go, they make sure that your web link for your meeting and this live link is set up through YouTube. They have their own account for that. They utilize that account to make sure your live link is updated. And then in addition to that, they do make changes to the calendar that they will include in the base fee. They also make sure that the website follows certain legal standards and things of such for a MUD district. So there are things that they utilize, and I'm totally fine if you want me to get them to provide you a breakdown of what they include in that $300 per month. But it's not that Infomark is not doing that any longer. It's that we adapted to the changes the district has made, and we do continue to update and monitor as much as we can, but there are some things that we cannot. So that's where we follow under to Touchstone for. So yes, there are things that are outdated in this contract that are listed that are not what they were when that contract started many, many, many moons ago. So, but that's with the district making decisions to do other things, like utilize a communications company instead of just a web hoster.
Kelly, do you have anything to say, ask?
I think it can only bring positives. It'll bring more clarity. It'll cut down on the bills and invoices meeting. And Mackenzie says she's all for it, and it can help us cut out. Maybe we don't need some things that are included in that fee. Maybe we're not using them, and maybe we need to add something else. Who knows? We don't know until we look. So that's what I have to say.
Well, I mean, to me, it's a lot. I'm new into this, and understanding, I wouldn't make a decision at this point unless I really understand the process. And I would agree with Linda. I think we ought to look through, go one by one. So the question is, how do we do this? How do we do it? Should we assign, the committee?
You used to have a management committee. Do we have one now?
The what committee?
We used to have a management committee that handled
We could
all.
do a contract committee, a contract review committee. That would be phenomenal because it's not just Infomark's contract that needs hard looks, but we should start with that.
Yeah, we don't have one anymore, but we used to have one.
then that we can have further discussions based on information that we can share
Right.
and then make an informed decision. But I think you're right. I think we ought to see what we're paying for.
I think we listen to the residents here and make sure that money's being spent wisely.
And how old is this contract?
30 years.
Yeah.
And no.
Never been
That's,
rebid.
there have been amendments made,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
have been lots of, so the contract, while it started many moons ago, I don't think it's been renegotiated. I think it's been, we have a generally new one from 2020, and it's an amended and reinstated agreement.
When we took the cap
When we made changes to remove the maintenance cap from the contract, it was quite a lot of language that had to be completely taken out, and other areas that had to be reworded after the removal. So that's the latest, I think, update that's been made, aside from the standard increases per year from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Now, I heard you say that you would be happy to, reconsider, renegotiate the contract. Do you guys have a model contract, newer model contract for other districts that will make it easier for us to really understand, and not only for us, but the residents too, to know, how do we figure out what we are paying you guys? Do y'all have a current model contract, or?
We do not, I wouldn't call it a model contract.
Mhm.
We have a base contract format that we allow districts to add to. Most districts do so, and how the negotiation process typically works. So let's pretend you and I didn't work together right now, and we were gonna negotiate a contract. Let's pretend for a moment. What would happen is I would provide a base level contract for what I understand your services to be. So your 3 lift stations, a person that needs to be, whether or not dedicated or not, a parks tech. You need an operations coordinator. You'll need an account manager to attend meetings. Things of that nature will go into effect. We will do what we consider as a costing model call. We sit down internally. We discuss how much time is this going to take for each person. How much time do you feel it takes? How much time do you think is dedicated to this? How long are the board meetings going to be? What's your drive time to get there? We take everything into consideration and build a contract fee off of that list of fees. Our standard fees for lift stations for just base operations, and that is simply checking it in, making sure it's running as normal is what we consider it, is base $500 a month. That doesn't include any collections and distribution system lines. Our C&D crew is considered pretty much 100% billable for all of our contracts. We don't build them in as a dedicated rate per se. But we do have a format we can try to build based off of that, and then what we do is we kick it back and forth. That's how it goes, is we kick it to y'all and we say, hey, we think that this should change, hey, this should be added, things like that, and then we let the attorneys, both ours and yours, will go back and forth on specific language and how they want things to be critiqued and such of that nature. But the majority of the back and forth will happen between myself and you all, and we'll go through what you want in the contract. And then if you ask for additional items that we didn't price for, we can provide a price for that, or we let you know it's going to be T&M. But I will tell you, we don't do dedicated personnel anymore, so that's something to consider. If you do renegotiate, I'm not sure that we would give you a 100% parks tech. It's typically pretty hefty for us to have a single person that can't go anywhere else or support other districts, because they're solely going to have to be in that one district. That makes that person less utilizable to us, more utilizable to you. So that's something that's always going to be in the district's favor. No different than Reese. Reese can't be utilized in other districts because she is solely your person. So we do charge more for that because that person is not utilizable to us on any other format and platform. That's something to keep in mind. And while I support you all in whatever decision you would like to make, I will tell you, in hiring staff specifically that is employed by the district, while it seems great in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't include workers' comp for that person. It doesn't include benefits, doesn't have an HR department attached to it if that person is a grievance. All of that is stuff y'all never see by having a third-party company. That is all stuff that Infomark has in-house for us as employees that doesn't flow through you guys. If I have a grievance with you, I'm just going to have to deal with it. Whereas if you have a person that's directly hired by you, you're going to have to deal with that on a case-by-case basis. It does cause more on a board's end to have hired employees directly with the district. There's also a whole number of insurance things you're going to have and all of that that would go into it. I'm sure Cole can speak on that. I don't know if you have any districts that directly hire.
We have one district that directly hires. They pay a salary to an employee. It's a good salary. She handles a lot of the, I'll say, administrative tasks and takes the minutes. Otherwise, every other consultant remains separate. But that district in turn, their insurance costs more than it would because now they have an employee. There's more documentation that we have to do and fill out each year because of it's an employee with a public entity. So yeah, there is more that goes into that. A lot of districts, the other districts that I have, if they utilize a general manager, they do so in this scenario where they contract out with a different company and you have kind of a contract basis with another person who acts as a general manager. So
I've seen it both ways.
Yeah.
We have two locally here that have their own.
There are employees.
Their employees.
Yeah.
And they do well, and their overhead is a lot less, but they're bigger districts. Their revenue is higher, they can pay good salary. We don't know until we compare. I know that you guys, Infomark has River Place, is that right?
Correct.
And can you give me 2 other districts that you have?
Do you want districts similar to you?
Yep.
Senna Hills, MUD, and they have a wastewater treatment plant. Trying to think similar to you. You can do Williamson County 23.
Okay, that's enough.
That one is strictly pond driven. None of those have dedicated personnel. Y'all are
One of the.
Point Venture WCID. We have a dedicated ops coordinator and we have dedicated operations staff because it's a huge district. They have a water plant, wastewater treatment plant, whole number of other facilities, and we do the same services for you here as they do there. I will tell you, your bill is much less.
Oh yeah, we don't have wastewater treatment.
Yeah, no, I'm just letting you know, like, it's not comparable in that aspect.
To me, we're on this topic, and I might as well put my 2 cents in. It's one, you guys have been here a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair to the district that we take DCEQ's recommendation and see what the best option is for this district. I have an issue with, the park tech is he fulfilling his duties on a day-to-day basis? I go to the parks, I check all these, doggy stations and garbage, and to me, it just doesn't feel that we are getting the best bang for our buck through Infomark to get this stuff done. I've lost my train of thought, but I think we need to really look into a different option of,
At least compare pricing.
Well, I'm totally fine with renegotiation or whatever route you guys want to go. I have to be able to provide my 2 cents in where things aren't completely expounded upon. And so that's why I wanted to go the route of explaining markup. What does that apply to? Why do we do increases? Where do we get them from? It's not, these things aren't pulled out of a hat because we think you deserve to give us more money. We have operating costs increase. We have a number of things happen for us as a company that increase, including anything that touches your district. Any employee gets an annual increase. This helps pay for that, and that helps AR, AP, billing, payment processing. We have, I can't tell you how many departments that help support us in the district. So that's just something that I wanted you all to understand as far as a consideration when we do things that a markup or things that compliance does that isn't explicitly covered by the base fee. Those are all things that 15% markup helps fund for us to be able to supply it to you as a district's
Well, I'm looking
contractor.
forward to getting a much better understanding so that I can say, oh yeah, we're getting a great deal. That's what I'm counting.
I don't know how we get there, but I will help you. There is plenty of reports I can run out of IPS for work orders. I mean, you've seen,
I know. 'Cause
you've
I've
seen the
asked for a lot
5-year
of reports.
for Hatch, so that's not an issue.
There is a motion.
There is a
on the
motion.
table.
I have
The motion to
a question,
renegotiate.
I guess before we have a motion, and I think we have a second, right? Do we have any specific type of consultant that can come in and maybe that's able to say, okay, this is a good deal, these are maybe other options. Do you know of anybody that specializes in coming in and
In the
consulting?
mud world, there's someone who specializes in literally everything. So whoever's listening is going to go create a business to do just that. There are companies that kind of go in and look at districts' finances. Those are more for like projecting capital improvements and capital outlays, so they kind of help with that. I don't know of anyone specifically who acts as kind of a business consultant who goes in and tears through the books and says, you could trim the fat here and you could do this and you don't need this. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I mean, my suggestion in this scenario would be probably for all the directors, why don't you send questions, you know, questions and concerns about the general manager's tasks and responsibilities. Maybe send them to Linda, because this is Linda's motion. And then at some point in the near future, Linda, you can work with McKinsey and anyone else at Infomark who needs to be involved with that discussion. And then you all can sit down electronically or in person, whenever the time is right, and then you can go through the whole thing. And at least then, all the questions that you all the directors have, you all have ample time to address them and kind of get answers for them, and then Linda's able to sit down and go over them and then bring kind of your report back to the full board. If I mean, that might be kind of the easiest way to tackle this, is do it one director outside the
I
meeting.
am what you got. I have looked at these records for the last 6 years, so I'm very familiar with what I'm looking at. And I have admittedly made mistakes. I've been wrong. She's quick to tell me when I am. And that's great. That's how I want it to work. No, this is what this covers. This is what this covers.
And I'll twofold. I've been wrong too, and I've gone back and made it
And
right.
made
so-
credit memos. See, when she's wrong, she credits it back. We just need to look at it closely. It might be that what we have with Infomark is the best deal we can ever get, but we don't know that until we look.
Yeah,
And if that's the case, then.
So we're looking at.
and
all
I'm
of them.
leaving. I'm kidding.
We're looking at all of them, and this is the last one. Did you wait?
No, she told me no.
So that is what I want to do. I want to get a better understanding for what we're paying for, report it to the board, and if it requires, or if I find that we could benefit with a renegotiated contract, then we renegotiate that contract. And this is just the first step. And maybe my motion should be more digging into the details with Infomark before we go to a table and try to renegotiate.
I don't think you really even need a motion for that. I was gonna just make a committee to work on it. And then that committee can then just start kicking things around, reviewing whatever you want to, requesting whatever you want to.
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
It's
I'll
up to
make a
you.
new
That was
motion.
just my suggestion so that you have
That's a
two
great
people that
I
can
will
work
make
with
I
it.
will make a new motion. I move that we,
Contracts review committee.
that we have a contracts review committee to look over the Infomark contract. And I nominate myself.
Okay.
All contracts.
We're gonna start with this one.
Yeah. Who's gonna man it?
Do what?
Who's manning this
I will
committee?
second that motion.
The two people?
All right, we have a
I need a,
Who else wants to be on the
who
committee?
else?
That, yeah.
Who has the time to be able to work on this committee?
Don't do that.
Can we make a mixed committee, I guess?
Yeah.
We-
A rolling.
No, because then you roll into a rolling quarrel. If you're fine with it just being Linda, that's
I
I mean, you could
I
have-
have a
yeah.
committee of one.
you can be a committee of
You
one.
can't have a committee of one.
Yes, you can.
No.
Well, it's
Linda
not a
says that-
committee.
no.
It's not a committee.
It's not a committee.
It's just one person.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to do it and report it back, but if we want to do a committee,
I
just
don't
pick
know
the
how
time.
much I could contribute.
I mean, it might about if we let you do the research.
Oh,
The
that.
initial,
And then
and
we
then we
can
can
call a
decide.
committee and then you share that information and question back and forth and then we get it done.
Yeah, so,
What he said.
yeah.
Which was his initial idea.
Right?
Sometimes it just goes, sometimes trust
Okay.
me.
Sometimes you have to talk yourself
back.
So the motion is to work with Infomark to review the contract and to bring the results back to the board. And then at that point, we have an agenda item and you all can discuss renegotiation or paying, whatever it might be. to work with and for Mark to,
I'll second that if you need a
apparently not.
second, or, I mean, you seconded
No,
already.
you're good.
Do we need a second? David seconded the initial.
okay, yeah, one more second, or all in favor. I'll take David's second if you still
Okay,
second
we'll
that
take
motion.
David's second.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. I think we're officially done with the manager's report, right?
Yes, we are officially done.
All right, item 6, Parks Committee, including adopt resolution for new policy.
Is that leftover from?
I was wondering what that was.
That might be leftover,
I
so
think it's
there's nothing,
leftover.
yeah.
Okay.
How are you gonna address those typos on that resolution that we all signed?
Gabby's listening right now, we made the changes
Okay.
and we're just putting, well, we'll send you a corrected one if you want to put it on the website, but we're just putting it in our district records with those typos, or with the typos corrected.
Like whiteout? or-
No, because I think I want to say the signature page did
Is
not have,
second.
is second page, and so
Okay.
we're just going to make the changes on the first page and staple it
Okay.
together.
I'm speaking of the resolution
Yeah.
regarding the playground equipment adhering to Texas Health and Safety and IPMA certified vendors, that one from.
That's what that resolution policy was, wasn't
Right.
it? That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
And if for whatever reason, if I think the signature page is second, but if it's not and we need a new signature, I'll bring it into the next meeting. It has been adopted, so.
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing I have on this, remaining after what we already discussed, is the RFP for a new playscape on Sunchase. Mackenzie, have you been able to draft that
I
yet?
haven't drafted a full one, so I've actually never seen an RFP specific to a playscape, but I have looked up several that I'm trying to work with and make you one, so hopefully by the next meeting we do have one. It's just not something I'm familiar with, so.
And for what it's worth, sorry, I don't mean to cut you all off from your conversation. I know you have your RFQ out for a new engineering firm. Westwood has applied. I know for a fact that Westwood has landscape architects who do playscapes and playgrounds, and I believe they all are certified. So they have a group that is specific to that. I can confirm it with my contact or with the engineer I know over there, but something to keep in mind in terms of doing a new playscape. If you all go down the path of hiring a new engineer who has that group within their umbrella, it might be worth utilizing your current contractor.
Yeah, I noticed that when Mackenzie said she added it, and that's the first thing I did, and there it is, biggest Dallas form of landscape architects. That's what you need to do parks.
So what you could do, I don't mind drafting an RFP, but what you could potentially just wait until you get through agenda item 7. See how that folds out. Cole can confirm with them, and then you could potentially, if that is who you choose to be your new engineer, work through the new engineer to do that project. And however that works, I'm fine continuing to still attempt to draft something for you and David to take a look at and vet, and then decide to bring it to the board next month.
Because it's not just a matter of an RFP, I want a playscape. It has to fit in that space. It has to be, there's
We want a
so many other
theme,
conditions.
we want it, yeah.
That maybe a landscape architect to guide on that decision might be the better approach. When I saw that in there too,
They have a whole team.
yeah, they have,
That's
did
fine.
you see
Shoot
it
that
down there?
landscape architecture.
And I did give her a lot of those specifics.
She did. She did.
I'm fine with putting a hold on that for now, and I would love some professional guidance. David and I this morning had a really excellent phone call with a vendor, a potential vendor. He is himself a certified playground safety inspector. And in the conversation with him, I said, I need you to treat us like we're idiots, because we don't know anything. We need you to take our hand and lead us through this. And so if we have a landscape architect, someone who is certified in this, who could, take that role and help us in working with the vendors, that would be amazing, because we know there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on this. We want to get it right. Absolutely. So, and even though we have a $90,000 budget because we planned high. We planned high so that we wouldn't have to come back and ask for more. We don't know how much we're going to spend. If it's, what, 70,000, 75,000, you don't have to?
Over 75 you have to bid. Isn't that correct with the new law?
You have to bid over 75, yeah. Yeah.
I think that
150.
It's
No, 150 is advertised, 75.
advertise is 150, 75 is solicit. You
Yeah,
don't have to
correct.
get 3, you just have to solicit 3.
Yeah.
Well, I think regardless of how much we end up spending, even if we were to spend under that limit, we still want to cast a wide net. We want a lot of proposals to choose from.
And are we getting anything back on that renewal, on the?
They are going to attempt to resell, maybe you can touch base with Derek in a
Sure.
week. I don't know that it's gonna happen very soon. It was just removed on Friday.
Right.
I don't know if they took pictures during that process for a resale, but that would be a good question to ask him is, what's your plan for resale? Do you potentially have anybody interested?
I'll follow up with him on Friday to confirm the forklift was removed and then ask about plans, yeah.
Probably buy it back.
If anyone wants it
There's
for
some
their backyard.
residents in the neighborhood who really loved it, and it would work residential.
Yeah,
We could maybe do a little garage sale or something.
do a little auction.
Alright.
Yeah.
I really thought about that, and then I thought, no, I couldn't in good conscience do that because I know it has safety issues.
Yeah.
It was a fleeting thought.
All right, so we're putting that on hold until later. I don't have anything else for parks, do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Our tech, when does he go and, the dog bag stations are empty all over the district. What's going on with that?
I want to confirm, did we get our order in for the dog bags? Yeah. Okay, so I want to say the one, there was a delay in the order coming in, so we just recently got them. 2, if he doesn't have them on hand, it falls to the next time he goes out. I think he checks dog stations Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So he does check them 3 days a week. You have 22 total dog stations. And something that actually Linda had brought up in bills and invoices that I just kind of helped her understand is when you see large purchases of bags, the majority of our purchases are over 600 bags or liners, things like that. Each dog station can hold 600 bags. It's 3 rolls,
Right.
and they're 100 each.
Okay.
So if you see an order for 600, that's only going to cover one of those stations, and they're expensive. They're not cheap, and even if we get them on
We have
Amazon,
22 of them?
you have 22 dog stations in and throughout the districts. So imagine you're trying to keep them all stocked Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and he's told me, he said, people use them. They use them religiously, he said, which I appreciate. He said, but if, let's say, it's a meter reading day and he has to skip a day, that puts them all out. So it's just a hard thing to keep up with, but he does do them. He's scheduled on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to check them, and what he typically does is he'll stock up as much as he can here and go out and fill up everything that he had stocked for. Then he reports back to Reese, we're still out on X, Y, and Z. So that's just kind of how that revolving process goes. I will tell you.
How often, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're
interrupt, but
okay.
How often is he, replacing them? How?
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So he stocks
So they go
up.
through all those.
600 bags? People steal them, I hate to say.
People take them.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed.
Yes.
They just pull like handfuls.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
walk
they will
every
take
day,
them and you'll see somebody
back
will
and
wrap
forth
them
on
around their
Action
hand,
Pass, and I see
stuff it in their pocket and go
Well,
on about their day.
Listen,
tied back.
I myself will grab
I've seen
a
that.
bunch, tie them to my leash, and this way I don't have to stop every time I.
People do that,
Yeah.
and so that's part of the
And
issue.
people from other neighborhoods come through our
Correct.
district. We're surrounded by other neighborhoods, they come through our district because we do have them.
Correct.
And so it's.
They are heavily used,
Well-
and we are placing orders every month for restocks. And it's not because we just want to restock because we have a itch hair to do it. It's because they're empty.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's a never-ending game.
Have you,
And I will tell you,
I was gonna say, have you looked into potentially trying to buy them wholesale from a vendor?
we get them at the cheapest rate we can on Amazon, but some of them are specific to a specific vendor that they were purchased years ago through Nova Furnishings. Those dog stations, they have to be a certain diameter to fit in the dispenser and all that. But since
person,
then, And all replacements we're doing with the cheaper Amazon ones that are also cheaper bags. So
Okay.
we're making that move towards ones that one last longer, the metal ones, but two that are cheaper to refill.
Because I saw that you have the big roll, right, that's tied.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a way, or is that the best value for our money, is those big rolls that you
I
have?
believe you're talking about the Innova ones, and those are the most expensive
Are they the most?
replacement ones. So what we can potentially do is make inventory of just the Innova ones and then replace them with Amazon dog stations. It's just roughly $200 per dog station. And then, but each purchase of a dog station comes with a full replenishment. So when you buy a dog station, you get 600 bags and X amount of liners for the can.
Let me just say, I just calculated this, because sometimes it helps to put a number to it. 22 dog stations with one roll, 600, is $13,200. So if he's doing it 3 times a week, it's $39,000.
If he were to replace them all every time.
Yeah, we're
Well,
not
obviously,
spending
we
that.
can't
So this is
keep
the
up with that
story.
demand. We keep up with what we can. So,
So, yeah, that's, but the math doesn't work on that.
I will tell you, I don't have any other district that has 22 dog stations.
We may need to look at where they are and
Yeah.
which ones are being used and which
Which ones
ones are always empty and, you know. Does that mean there's just no poop laying around the district?
Not
I
necessarily.
do see the bags on my walk, sometimes people use the bags and then they throw them by our
Mhm.
walls.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, but Alan has said in the areas where they are, he's not seeing poop on the ground, things like that. So they are utilized. And he has said multiple times, he said, I'm so glad that people use them. He said, but they really use them. He said, half the time I go by on a Monday, by the time I come back on Friday, the entire thing is empty.
That's a lot, that's lots of bags.
And it's
How do
sometimes,
you deal with it in other, some of your other districts?
most of our other districts only have a few, and they're not hard to keep up with. We typically only put them in parks specifically. Something you all have is they're in ponds. I don't typically put dog stations in ponds. So that's another thing that I don't do in other districts is dog stations in ponds. Now, that does increase dog poop in those ponds.
Stephanie, do you know which ones they get used the most?
Parks,
The parks?
Mhm.
Anderson Mill West Park,
this one.
This one.
this one?
I can't tell you a day that I've ever been in this district where I haven't seen at least 4 different dogs at this building at any given day, at any given time. People are constantly coming from the front part to walk through here. So that's not in
And
district
you got
people.
all those
Apartments.
Mhm.
apartments that,
All of those people are constantly coming from that direction to walk their dogs around the park. And I'll see them grab bags, I'll see them walk around, especially over here by the basketball field where the grass is really nice. Dogs love to go over there. It's just something I've noticed, but something to consider would
We'll talk about
be,
this more, I guess, in depth in our next Parks Committee.
yeah, what we
Figure
can
out
do
what-
is,
same time.
we can get you a map made.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to wait for your next engineer because I can't make a map. But what we can do is get Alan to jot down the coordinates, go to each one, jot down the coordinates, and then we can coordinate plot them through your next engineer and then put it really quickly on a GIS map, get you a quick map of your dog stations, and then I can ask Alan for his opinion, which ones are utilized the most, and then we might consider reconfiguring where they are within the district. And that will also make them a little bit easier to refill if they're all in more centralized locations instead of completely spread out. That also makes it difficult because if he goes, let's say he's here, he does the replenishment, he checks whatever else trash and whatever, and then he goes to the next spot, but he gets stopped midway there to go do a turn on, a turn off. Those things happen. His day isn't as fluid as I start here and I do X, Y, and Z. Alan's day starts with, I'm going to start here, but Reese is probably going to tell me to do something, and I'm going to have to stop what I'm doing and go do that. Or Mackenzie's going to tell me to come do something. A board member
So-
reported something, so.
I'd like to do a ride along with Alan to kind of understand what his day looks like.
Okay.
And kind of, this way I get a better understanding.
Did we
Um,
read today, or did we read yesterday and the day before?
They're done
Okay,
today. Yeah,
okay.
it was
That's
Monday.
fine.
It probably won't be till like next week.
Okay, well, let me know your availability, and then I'll get with Alan and let him know to have you meet him here at whatever time you would like to, and then y'all can go ride around together. He'll make sure his truck is empty, because they typically all have crap in the passenger seat of stuff that they've collected, so
Okay.
that's not a problem, huh?
He's a mess.
Yeah, most of them are.
No, no, but
There's
he's
not one I
terrible.
can walk up to and say, give me a ride.
Right, so can we move on to deed restrictions?
Mhm.
Committee? Okay. So let's, do you want to? Since you drafted the resolution.
Okay, so, I guess, in your folder, you see a draft of a resolution for new rules for deed restriction or covenant enforcement, or restrictive covenant enforcement, however we want to say it. And so Hanoi and I were trying to kind of look at this in a new way. And there's a lot of unique factors that this district has that maybe, I don't know, maybe other MUDs don't have to deal with it, in the fact that we span so many different sections or neighborhoods, and they were many built by different builders over 3 decades, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and so norms were changing over that time. And so while a lot of the Anderson Mill West sections have very similar but not exact deed restrictions, the other sections like Lake Line Oaks, Hunter's Glen, Valenti, their restrictive covenants are different than that. And the board is kind of in the position of, in the past, trying to enforce every unique set of deed restrictions throughout the district. And the issue is that our concern, what Hanoi and I felt, was that our concern is the district as a whole. And we need to treat everyone equally. And so if we are to do that, it's hard to say that if there is one unique restriction that applies, so let's say in Anderson Mill West 1, it has a restriction that is not in any of the other restrictive covenants in any of the other sections, and yet we're going to enforce that and say that that is critical to maintaining the taxable value of the property in the district. That doesn't pass the logic test to me. So if we decide that something is important to maintaining the taxable value of the district, it needs to be enforced throughout the district. And so what that leaves us with is attempting to find the restrictions that are in common to every neighborhood in the district. Another complicating factor that we have is that some of our sections have HOAs, some don't. Some have architectural control committees, some did have architectural control committees, some did have HOAs. So we have a combination of active HOAs and lapsed AOAs, and a couple of active architectural control committees, and then some that have lapsed. And so it's just a patchwork. And so we're looking at a way to treat the district as a whole and not 25, 30, I don't even know how many different sets of deeds that we have. And so I would invite Cole at this time to tell us more about, because, let me back up. At least in going through the Anderson Mill West deeds, the Architectural Control Committee is tasked with playing a huge role in enforcing, the unsightly and
Building restrictions.
And the building restrictions. And so, Cole, why don't you talk to us about whether the MUD can enforce those things that are left up to the determination of the ACC?
In looking at those deeds, it's pretty explicit that the ACC has the power to do those things. There's no language in the deeds that we're talking about right now. There's no language in those deeds which discusses succession should the named ACC members resign or pass away. There's no mechanism to nominate new people to the ACC or to elect new people to the ACC. So the question I was asked was, can the MUD create a group to act as the ACC in these districts? Does it have the power to do that? And my interpretation of the deed restrictions in the law is no, it does not have that power to do that. the MUD has the power to enforce deed restrictions per the water code for that certain section. But when we're talking about any type of land use restrictions or building restrictions or telling someone what color they can or can't paint their house, if it's left to the ACC per the deed restrictions, I do not think the MUD can take that role from the ACC. The MUD does not have the ability to, the MUD does not have architectural control over private landowners. That's what's left to the HOA and specifically ACCs within that HOA. So again, it's confusing because there are, 18 sets of deed restrictions or so. Some have active HOAs, some have active ACCs, others have defunct HOAs, others have active HOAs with defunct ACCs. It's an absolute mess. So what Kelly was talking about was going through and finding the common, what's the word I'm looking for, violations throughout all of the 18 separate sets of deed restrictions. And those would be the ones that the district would have the ability to enforce should, you all establish a policy, which right now we have the letter writing that we've been doing. That's what I think the district can do. I don't think the district should, and I think the word I used last night was it's kind of dangerous when districts take on this land use restriction role, telling people what they can and can't do with their property. I mean, again, with HOAs and with deed restrictions, there is a mechanism to create an HOA. There's always a mechanism to revise your deed restrictions. It's up to the residents to do that. And so that's, I'll close my mouth now and let you all, continue.
So what this proposal says is that we would enforce those restrictions that are common throughout the district or substantially in common that provide a health or safety hazard or that are a nuisance, and nuisance I think we're gonna find. I have not been through every single one yet. I've been through most of the Anderson Mill Wests. We're gonna find that nuisance is common to them. I'm fairly certain. And so we would like to start enforcing a common set of deed restrictions on the district. We propose changing from a constant monitoring to a complaint-based system where a resident in that same section can submit a complaint, and then either the committee or an agent, a contractor of the committee will make a determination on whether that's a valid and actionable complaint. And from there, we've kind of stuck with the same system of 4 letters. A friendly letter, a certified letter threatening civil penalties or fines, as you will, and then, a 4th letter where we begin to enforce penalties. So there would be no penalties until that 4th letter. So at that point, they would have had, 2 months of notice that they're creating this nuisance or hazard or whatever it is. And then that would be $100 plus $25 a day. And I believe the government code says that we can, that penalty can run up to the maximum jurisdictional limit of the justice court, which is $20,000. So it couldn't go higher than that. The only outstanding question then I think that I haven't addressed is, right now, as I understand it, the sections with HOAs such as Valenti Hills and Hunters Glen 1 and Lakeline Oaks, those HOAs enforce deed restrictions. Do they not?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I've never asked.
Lakeline Oaks, they do a complaint-based system, but they don't enforce everything that's written in their covenants. They don't enforce street parking, for example. Hunters Glen 1 had requested and received approval for the MUD to do their enforcement when we had an enforcer. I don't know what they're doing now. Surely they know we don't have an enforcer.
But if they are collecting dues.
They are collecting
Part of the covenant, and this is what we talked about, it's their responsibility, you know what I mean?
Valenti Hills does have an enforcer, and they also use the MUD's enforcer to do a second look. And I think the argument that they make, not just Valente Hills, and I think it was Hunter's Glen 1 who actually did, all residents pay taxes to the MUD. So if the MUD is providing that service, then they should provide that service for all properties, if requested by the HOAs. Lakeline Oaks specifically has requested that the MUD stay out of their area. For reasons long before I became involved, I don't know why. Hunter's Glen, one, asked that the MUD take over that responsibility. They did not hire an enforcer. Only the MUD did their, but then they dictated, their HOA board dictated what they wanted the MUD to look at and what to ignore. For instance, they came in one evening and requested that the MUD do not enforce overnight street parking in Hunter's Glen 1. Their HOA board had determined that wasn't impacting the value of property. They didn't want it enforced. It took a board vote to agree not to enforce it. So, as you noted, it's so scattered, different everywhere. I love this proposal, but what do we do about Lakeline Oaks? What if one of their residents calls and complains?
Oh, so we have addressed that. And I will be hard pressed to find it at this moment,
It's
but
okay, I've read it.
I believe what we said was that we will enforce it in an HOA neighborhood if the HOA doesn't.
And how does that position us with the HOA?
Well, it is,
I mean,
we have the ability to enforce
Of course.
deed restrictions, and so if the HOA is not enforcing something that affects health, safety, or nuisance, then that resident has a right to come to us and say, I pay taxes to you, please enforce this. And I think we probably can all agree that health, safety, and nuisance are things that affect the taxable value of the property.
And my understanding is that the MUD has the authority to do that even above an HOA. In other words, if it was hierarchical, MUD, HOA.
Yeah, MUD's a governmental entity, so yeah.
So, by all rights, we certainly can. But I think in the interest of good neighbors, we should probably have that discussion with the HOA in Lakeline, because they have explicitly requested that the MUD board stay out of their business.
Right, so what Kelly was talking about, it's on page number, it's
Section what?
section, give me some, section 2J. HOA enforcing these restrictions, however, if an active HOA refuses to enforce restrictions, the board of directors finds necessary to sustain taxable, it's there. It's J.
I don't have.
There's a lot of discretion on our end. I don't know if we want to leave it that open, but it's, the way it's written, it's.
Somebody from Lakeline Oaks would have to call and complain about a property in Lakeline Oaks, and then we follow the same first letter, second letter, third letter, fourth letter. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I just think in the interest of being good stewards, that we should, once this is adopted, we should send a copy to the HOA board.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Yeah, then I have no issue with that.
What I think we're just trying to prevent, and you know, it's a balancing act, treating everyone equally, but also preventing double enforcement.
Right.
And then that's just kind of the impossible situation that this MUD finds itself in, just due to the disparate neighborhoods that are in, you know, our borders.
We could create a list of the active HOAs and the board members of those HOAs contact lists, and so if there is ever a situation in which there's a violation we're receiving, you know, complaints, there's an active HOA, we can just look at the list, contact that person, say, hey, here are all the complaints we've received. Are you all addressing this? Otherwise, we're gonna step in and address it for reasons X, Y, and Z. And hopefully then the HOA will say, oh, we haven't heard it about these yet, or, yeah, we're on it, we'll take care of it. So,
So complaint-based, only those covenants that are similar to the majority of the district, health and safety, nuisance. Love it.
And as an example, like, I don't know how many sections are currently have the overnight street parking prohibited as part of their deed. Hunter's Glen 2, who else?
Hunter's Glen, that's written in the deed?
Yeah.
All the
1, 2.
HOA sections. So Lakeline Oaks, Hunter's Glen 1, Hunter's Glen 2, Anderson Mill West, double-digit sections have it. But it's not enforced. Like I said, Lakeline Oaks doesn't enforce that, Hunter's Glen 1 does not enforce that, Valente Hills does not enforce that.
So it's just, it's kind of illogical to try to insist that enforcing this scattershot here, 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 and here is something that we require to maintain the taxable value of the district. And I had something else. Oh yeah, in reviewing the Anderson Mill West deeds, what is going to be important for the board to note is that the unsightly provisions of the deed are left to the sole determination of the ACC. And so we can't make a determination then, based on Cole's opinion, of what is unsightly. So that would include things like peeling paint, yard, unkempt, and other things of, weeds in the cracks of the driveway or things like that. So that would, well, it's not new, just this interpretation is new, but that leaves us in a position of that not being something that we can enforce under deed restrictions because we don't have the legal authority to make that determination. Is that correct, Cole?
And Anderson Mill West has no legitimate ACC. Is that correct?
I think it's defunct. That's
Right.
my understanding
That
of
is
it,
my
yeah.
understanding as well, but we do have residents in this district who profess to be the ACC for Anderson Mill West. And we have published their work on the website, their interpretation of unsightly articles. It's out there. We've been enforcing that. So I think that we need to scratch that because those were not the builder's ACC who did those interpretations on the web. So all that needs to be scrapped. We replace it with what we are enforcing. And then we start a real serious education program to teach residents about their deed and the expectations. And with that, we should have very few problems because once people know what the expectation is, 90% will follow. And we'll only have to deal with those that are outside of the norm. And then those people, like the occasion of Birch as an example, we would have to find other ways to deal with that problem rather than call it an unsightly property.
That's probably more fall into health and human safety or nuisance. Yeah.
Right. So with that said, then we need to work on what information is presented on the web, the MUD's website. Because right now it alludes to things that are not enforceable by this board.
Now, what can we do to help constitute an ACC? Because, there are certain elements that are important to have an ACC, right?
Yeah, of course. I don't think you all can do anything. Go tell the residents that live in that neighborhood.
That section?
That section.
51% vote of the people in the section to stand up an ACC is what it's going to take.
And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we've had two recent cases where, I want to build this, who do I go to, right? And so.
And Stephanie, who do you send them to when it's in Anderson Mill West?
I've just been sending everybody to Chris Rocco. because I don't know, I didn't know.
Chris Rocco has named himself the
Yeah.
ACC for Andersonville West.
Well, actually, I was another board member
Another board member?
that referred me to him because,
And who was that board member? Wasn't me.
Director Jones.
Okay.
Director Jones. So yes, so Chris Rocco has been acting that role for quite some time. And
But was he constituted
No.
legally? I mean,
No.
there's a process to constitute an ACC.
And he's doing it for every section of Andersonville West.
Currently, right now?
That's where she sent requests to build
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. So,
Cole, could you elaborate on why you believe it's defunct?
Because at least the deed that I read, the way it's written is the developer not nominated, the developer appointed certain named members to be the ACC, and then there was no language afterwards to discuss what happens if those members were to resign or to pass away. The succession language it just ended.
No succession language, yeah.
So, in theory, I mean, unless there's a document that HOA adopted years ago that stated, that's like an amendment to the HOA, or it's something that they adopted that allows for succession. I haven't seen it. I don't think any of us have seen that. That might work if the HOA adopted that, but I haven't seen anything like that, so.
there is nothing in the county court records. And I only can speak to this because I hired an attorney to look for this. And that was exactly the outcome that the attorney I hired found as well. It is the succession language that is the problem, and it just died. When the builder moved on, it just fell flat. And it didn't have an ACC for many years in this neighborhood. And then somewhere in the early 2000s, somebody decided, hey, a previous MUD board said, we give the power of an ACC to AMWANA, the Andersonville West Neighborhood Association. The board gave power they did not have to a private social organization, and they've been running with it since. Now, that organization has pretty much gone defunct, but Chris Rocco is still trying to resuscitate it, and he has taken on that role of an ACC. Now, we all can, I'm sure, agree tonight that he is not a legitimate ACC for Andersonville West, but what we should do, because I agree with you, I think that it's probably helpful to have something like that, but every single Andersonville West section has their own ACC then, and only if we can get 51% of the residents of that section, the property owners, not residents, property owners, 51% have to say, yes, I want you to stand one up. And then that group gets to name who their 3 ACC members are, and it starts like that.
Would you
Agree
recommend a
with Rick?
succession process? Because it seems to me like there has to be some some legal structure in place to allow for succession. I mean, that would be important to.
If you got the 51% vote to stand up an ACC, it would require an attorney to write something that is filed in the county courthouse that amends the deed for that section, because that's a deed amendment.
Yeah, you're essentially petitioning the residents in that, section to, you have to reach this threshold of residents to approve deed amendment. Oftentimes, the deeds state how many people you need, whether it's 51% or 2/3 or whatever it is. And then that HOA would then have the ability to rewrite their deed restrictions and.
But you know what I think, Hanoi? I don't think we do, that's not work for us to do, but that is our obligation to make that information available. And we educate people, this is what needs to happen if you want one of those. Do this, do that, do some of this, do some of that. And once you've done that, file it in the county courthouse. They're gonna need a lawyer to get it done. But do that, and then we will recognize your ACC. That would be legitimate, right, Cole?
Mm-hmm.
We could recognize the interpretations from that ACC, but only it's by section. You don't get one ACC that governs all sections in Anderson Mill West. Every deed calls for its own.
Wow, okay.
But you're right, it's a lot of work, but all we have to do is educate, we don't have to do.
All we can do is educate, yes.
But I'm with you, and I think you'll find sections, I wouldn't be one bit surprised for us to find small sections, less than 100 houses, and we have several of those, where those people maybe can pull that off. Maybe they can get that 51%. And if they can, that's good for them. Good for them. I even have an example document to use to amend a deed. So I would be happy to share that. Fill in the blanks with your, here's the format. Amend your deed. That's exactly how it's supposed to work. Amend your deed when you want something done. But you got to convince your neighbors, 51% of them. Because we cannot, in my mind, we cannot continue to do what has been done because the mud board that put that in place had no authority to do what they did.
I mean, it's clearly out of their authority to do that.
I guess another option would be to petition the legislature to give the MUD ACC authority. And let me add, there are the Fern Bluff MUD, their attorney, who used to be our attorney, wrote a resolution that gave the MUD board the power of being the ACC. How do you think that's going to stand up in court? No statute to give him that authority, but he wrote a resolution to give him that authority. And then our neighbors, the ranch at Cypress Creek, same law firm, different lawyer, wrote, they did a petition to the legislature for road powers, and the very last entry on the legislation is, and also allow the MUD board to be the ACC. So the ranch at Cypress Creek, the MUD board is the ACC for that MUD. But he snuck that one in there. They tried to pull that off here in 2020, but I caught it. I campaigned on that, actually. Don't do it. So, the resolution looks good.
So, I guess my last thing to say is just for the residents who are watching this now and may be watching this later, I want to make it explicit. The MUD is not abandoning deed restriction. We are, enforcing deeds on a complaint-based basis. We are protecting your health and safety. We're not going to let things become a nuisance. We're going to continue to make the neighborhood a great place to raise a family, and rest assured your taxable property value will continue to go up 10% a year no matter what happens.
And I think that the basis when we talked about this, we wanted to, nothing is perfect, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to do something equitable for the community. And so I think the model that we had before was picking and choosing, and you can lose yourself in, especially with lack of accountability, then what do you do? And so at least right now we have a model that allows us to exercise, things in an equitable fashion. Does that make sense? And so I think that's what we, the idea behind this document, so.
Can I ask you type this?
Me. So I guess what I would like to do is make a motion to have this reviewed by our attorney, and to make sure it's all buttoned up in the correct legal form, and then have him bring it back at the next meeting when we can vote on it.
Good. I'll second that. I think we've had enough discussion. Are we good to vote, or do you have anything else, David? No. All right. So all in favor, say aye. Aye.
I just want to thank you for putting in all this work.
That's
Very
great. You
lot
and
of
Nora
rest.
came up with a great saver here.
She did all the work.
Well, Kelly?
We just talked over the phone and met, but she typed up all this stuff.
I thought
Put it
Cole's
together.
typed this because it looks like a legal document.
Well,
Do you know what I did?
yeah,
It's a paralegal.
yeah, she's legal.
You saved us a couple of $100, easy.
All right, so moving on to.
Who seconded Kelly's motion?
I
Annoyed.
motion. It'll get better. Information Management Committee.
Infrastructure, I believe.
Infrastructure. Oh, wait a minute. Yep, it is infrastructure. Committee. And I don't think, David, do you have anything? No, nothing. So, we need to sit down and schedule. Information Management Committee.
Yeah, I actually, although I'm not on this committee, I had an item that I would like to discuss if you don't have anything.
No, I think you can move forward and do it.
Okay. Over the past few weeks, I've witnessed a truly disheartening amount of mis- and disinformation online regarding the park at Sunchase. It's almost as if some individuals are determined to undermine a 4-to-1 vote of the board and foment anger in the community against this board. Here's a representative excerpt from a post on Nextdoor this weekend. This person said, "It seems that this new board does not have the best interest of our neighborhood at heart and is against families and children at play." I'd like to take a vote right now. Who is against families and children at play on this board? So that's a 0. No one who watched or attended the board meetings in June or July or who read the reports and recommendations from the playground inspectors would come to such a conclusion. And actually, when the facts were presented to this individual, they corrected their post and said they understood the choice that had to be made. Every member of this community deserves an accurate explanation of this saga from beginning to end. I've drafted a statement of the true facts. It's in the information management folder. I hope everybody had a chance to read it. I'm going to move that Cole review it for legal accuracy and per his edits, have Infomark email this statement to our district-wide email list.
I will second your motion.
Boom, motion has been seconded by Linda. I've read the entire thing. We've talked about it. I've given feedback on it. I think the residents need to know. And yeah, it's good information put together. I think we did the right job. We've provided the community with plenty of information. And so, yeah, I think that should be done. That's all I have to say.
I would like to add that I did respond on Nextdoor to this resident who was disparaging the board for not doing the right thing. And I just laid out the facts. And she was gracious enough when she read them, and I led her back to the MUD's website. I'm not taking this, here it is. She did recant. So sometimes it's important to jump in because it started to really take off with people, you know, making all kinds of suggestions on what they might do to save the treehouse. I felt like it really needed an intervention, so I was the one who intervened in that Nextdoor post.
You're always gonna, whenever there's a websites like Nextdoor and Facebook, there's always gonna be spins and misinformation. I mean, that's just,
And
we see it
solving
everywhere.
it as quick as you can. This really turned it around in 48 hours.
Well, that's why it's good to, one, have a district website, but two, like what you all have done is always put the reports online. And so if there's anyone out there who's making false claims, you can just say, see the district website. That's the official district response always, not what anyone says on Facebook or Nextdoor.
Right, which is exactly what I did. I
Yeah.
went straight back here.
Yeah.
And I think before we vote, I think the motion just said to mail it to the residents, right? But I don't think you email it. You didn't include to post it on the website. On your motion, do you want to include that in the motion?
Sure.
Okay.
I am in.
How are we gonna email it to the residents?
We'll email it to the ones that we have emails
Okay,
for,
okay.
but it
All
won't
right.
guarantee all, and we can also publish it to the district
So I'll
website.
CC both of you all on the email because I don't have those emails.
And Mackenzie, there are several embedded links in that, so make sure that those survive in the email
Okay.
and the posting.
And I would like to ask too, this is, and I know you bought an extra license when we appointed Kelly, so I need you to create an email account that says from, whatever your acronym you use, WTCMUD1. It should not come from Stephanie Reese, nobody knows who she is, but they will recognize our acronym.
Mhm.
And if it comes from that, we have a better shot that people will read it. And I know it's just a matter of creating an email account where the owner of the account is WTCMUD1. And it would also be a great record-keeping place for everything. Every email campaign that we do would be contained inside of that one email account. So it's a good for record-keeping, and it gives us a little better hope that people will read the emails when they get them.
We can just do it through the area manager email. You don't have to create one.
As long as
It says at WTCMUD1.org.
That's perfect.
So you'll just have to give me a list of the emails. And then I'll send
And
it from the
if
Gmail.
there's a way to tell which accounts do not have an email address attached to them, and keep a list of all the bounce backs that you get, we can try to rectify that, so that at some point, we have a very good email.
When we move over, so just for y'all to keep in mind, whether or not you negotiate will depend on if this matters or not. We're getting ready to move to a new billing system. That billing system is going to have far greater capabilities than your current one does. We will be able to email, text, call somebody all from that billing system. And it'll be an automated message when they answer the phone, but it's still a phone call. It's a new way of communication we don't currently have right now. And it's not going to be an upcharge to you all. It's a pass-through service that we are upgrading on our end. If it changes things for customers, we'll make sure to include notes on bills, things of that nature. As of right now, it shouldn't. As far as access to accounts and stuff, that will change. But it will give us the opportunity to ask everyone to give us updated contact information. Everyone's going to have to go in and set up a new account, or at least add to an account that we will set up on their behalf to provide that information.
Will that system allow texting?
Yes. So like I said, it's going to broaden the horizons quite a bit. It's called StarNIC. Our initial go live was going to be October. It's actually pushed to January just from testing and things like that of normal nature that happened. But we are moving to the new system avidly currently, working through the kinks, and it will give the capabilities of call, text, email, and I think that covers all of them, because we don't currently have that ability right now. Our current system won't email anybody. We have to manually pull them out to email them. The system itself has the capability to do
So
that.
does it have blast email, blast text capability, so like? in the
If we
case
have a number on 1,928 accounts, it will go to all numbers on
Like if
19.
there's an emergency
If there's an
or something.
emergency, or, if we wanna open
Correct.
the mud building as a warming
Correct.
station, we can let everybody know.
Correct.
Awesome.
So motion's on the table? Did we
Yeah,
have a
motion's on
second?
the table. I think
I second.
we're all good. You seconded, right? Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Okay.
All right.
I'll have to figure
Budget
out how to
committee.
merge it into Google.
I have nothing to do.
Yep.
Email and stuff. It's not the same.
But
Let's figure it out.
All right, item number 7, old business, including update and status requests for RFQ for an engineer for the district. I think Hope has some
I
update
think
on
I
that,
told her
right?
to.
Just the response that you all have in your Google Drive,
7.
number 7, correct?
is this somebody you've worked with?
Not the firm, but the engineer who responded, Jacob. Yes, I have worked with Jacob. He worked in Houston with a big engineering firm who I have a lot of districts with. He's very knowledgeable in the mud world. He moved to Austin a couple years ago, is with Westwood. He's building up there. They have a handful of MUDs already in the area, new creations and mature districts, I believe. And he's actively working to grow their public works division. It's from what I've seen, it's a big firm. They have a lot of staff. I mean, in terms of what you all are looking for with landscape architects, people who are, with this mud world, oftentimes you have firms that have engineers that might be specific to one aspect of the district. So, not speaking for Jacob or anyone on his team, because I don't know his team, but, you know, Jacob, for example, I know is really good with wastewater treatment plants. Just as an example, he's great with all district matters. We have a huge district in Houston that he was the lead engineer on. But, you know, you might have a question about a lift station, and he might be able to say, oh, we have so-and-so on staff who their entire job is lift stations. They know them backwards and forwards. They can give you an opinion on this. So that's kind of a benefit when you work with firms that have large staff like this. They're local, they're here in Austin. I mean, Justin's a great engineer. He's young, he's hungry, he would be, he's qualified, I'll say that. So you know, it's up to you all to make the decision, but.
I have to tell you that I do like the fact that they have multiple disciplines in their firm, not just civil engineering, but also structural, which is important for our walls and the landscape. When I saw that they have landscape architects, I immediately thought, yeah, look at that.
Oh, look at the park.
I know, so nice. It would just be everything under one umbrella, and I really do like the idea of that. I am disappointed that we only got one application, but I'm happy we got one application. So we'll take that. I'll take that. And yeah, I just, we don't have anything to compare to, and now we have to negotiate a fee.
You'll
Because-
negotiate, yeah, contract with them.
Yeah, I
If
think
you
what they
choose
would
to.
do is if you all are interested, you could ask them to submit a contract. And then
Okay.
you could take a look at that and then go over kind of what they have to offer and what you all are looking for. I mean, before you all went out for this, full disclosure, I mean, I've known Jacob for a while. We met up in Austin just to catch up because I hadn't seen him in a few years. And we were talking, he was just telling me he was looking around for more districts. They have a bunch of new districts that they're creating, so he's kind of looking for some other districts in the area to work on. Right around that time, a few days later, I think, you all went out for RFQs. I sent him a message and said, you know, hey, I sent him the RFQ. I said, if you're interested, and he said, absolutely, and he sent it in. So I'm sure he'd be more than happy to come to a meeting, to meet you all, talk with you all. I think it's an easy negotiation to do. Again, Westwood might have some sort of base fee that I don't know about, but he's flexible and he's a good person, so I think, you know, you all would benefit from talking with him.
Not that I am trying to downplay Westwood. I've not worked with them and I don't have any personal to share. I know you're hyped about landscape architects. My only concern is their lead is in Dallas. So travel.
We can do everything remotely mostly.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we ask Westwood, the specific engineer Jacob Valentine, to submit a contract for us to consider.
Second that.
Do we have a second? Discussion, do you have anything to say, David?
I was concerned that we only got one, and in the past, when we only had one in, say, when we were looking for lawyers, we had one application, and it was actually the council before Zach Evans said, if you have one, it's best to try to get more and always have something to compare to. So I go back to that advice from that council that, you know, it's best practice to go ahead and open it up again and try to solicit some more just to get, you know, multiple applicants in there. But that's the only thing I would have to say about it. I'm glad that we.
I personally would love to see always 3, more is better. Unfortunately, we are in a position now where we have several critical things and really should not be without an engineer. The lift station had work done to it supposedly, the painting of the
well, the
wells.
coating of the wells.
Yes, and so all that stuff needs to be examined before we pay those bills, so.
Just so you know, we sent it to over 10.
Okay.
So between Cole and I, we sent it to
And-
all of the ones we have contact
And
information for.
We I mean, just based on the last 6 months, we have literally replaced all our contractors. If this one didn't work out, we know exactly what we need to do. But I'm sure he'll be just fine. I do, I mean, I love the proposal that he submitted, the RFQ. The staff is certainly worthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of collective knowledge. I mean, just
There
kind of
is.
reading over it,
There
that's
is.
something that we didn't have before.
We didn't have that.
So,
And look what happened in Sunchase. So we could avoid problems like this ideally in the future, because they would say, hey, this is out of my area of expertise, but somebody in my firm is the expert at that, so. I think this is a great referral, thank you, I think this is a great referral. And since they're the only ones that applied, let's see what they do with the contract.
So motion to ask Jacob to submit a contract for the board to consider. Would you all like me to invite him to your next meeting too, so you can ask him
Sure.
any questions?
Love that.
Okay, all right, I'll see if he's available for that meeting. Okay.
So I got a second from Kelly, all we need to vote.
I mean, him or any rep, I mean, if he can't make it, at least we can have somebody to.
No, it should be him because he's going to be our engineer.
He's gonna be the lead, yeah.
You're right, lead engineer, you're right.
Ideally,
But I'm
we're
saying
going
if
to meet
if
the
there's
other.
anything else, anybody else, like a rep, that
Well,
can.
he has a managing partner, and that's always like.
Have you asked them if this date and time for their normal meeting suits his schedule?
No, but I don't think he has any night meetings. I think
Okay.
all his districts meet during the
And,
day,
and I
so.
would like to reevaluate that, of having the engineer attend all of the meetings.
Sure.
You know, we're all intelligent people and can read an engineer's report, and the need for them to be physically present at all of our meetings, it's a very costly expense. It runs up the cost of a meeting. It may not be necessary for him to attend. I see in here he's offered to. If it's an additional charge, or if he's, like Gray did, was charging by the hour and all that, we might only ask him to attend when we need to talk to him.
Yeah, some districts, if, I always recommend at least get a written report for every meeting.
Yes.
Oftentimes I work with some great engineers, but who get comfortable and just call in and submit oral reports, and it's a little frustrating, so we want to have something in writing to keep. So I would, at the very minimum, always request and require a written report for each meeting. It's also not bad to, have them attend quarterly or twice a year or whatever it might be, or as the district
And the
needs.
infrastructure committee can always, do a meeting with him and let the committee bring back whatever,
Right.
he might have to say. It would, somebody put a number on what it costs us per hour to meet, and it was like over $700. We can reduce the cost by only bringing people to the meeting that absolutely need to be.
Just keep in mind when you have a new contractor starting, it's extremely helpful for them to attend a good portion of meetings in the beginning and then lay off to get the lay of the land, understand the district, how things run. At least that's from my experience, what they prefer to do.
We'll see. And he can always watch our videos.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's just not helpful when they can't ask
No charge,
questions
but-
and provide.
They're free, you too.
My point is that it's helpful when they can ask questions and then provide input during the meeting instead of just watching it after the fact. Because then you're just going to get charged for the questions later when they have to sit there and document them to write them down to ask you. So I'm just saying it might be worthwhile in the beginning to consider having them here for 6 months, and then you decide at that point, do we really need you here? Especially when you're under a lift station rehab.
Which I
And
really
lead
want
and
to talk
copper
to him
rule.
about.
Yeah, and the lead and copper rule, that's kind of a big.
That's an
big federal-
extremely-
Oh, but we got so much of that work already done.
Yeah, that's good.
According to the invoices. We'll see what we get back, but boy, we should have a lot of that work.
That's good. So we have a motion and a second.
And a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Great, thank you.
Okay, moving on to 8, new business, including the following.
Those are mostly yours, Cole.
Okay. Let me pull up the agenda.
You've got the hearing for the tax rate.
So, correct. So what you'll do right now is you'll call a hearing.
No.
I'm absolutely shocked that there aren't any residents in person to discuss this. But so you'd open up a hearing to discuss the tax rate. If no one has anything to say, you can close the hearing, and then what you all do is you adopt the order levying taxes and you approve the amendment to information form, both of which are in front of you and also in your packets. You all published a tax rate of 2881, I believe. And that's the maximum amount that you could publish for avoiding a rollback election. And so, as always, you cannot adopt a tax rate that's higher than what you've published, but you can adopt a tax rate that's lower than what you've published. But your financial advisor recommended the 0.2881. That's all for maintenance and operation taxes. You all do not have any debt service payments anymore because you have no outstanding bonded indebtedness. And so I leave it to you all to call a hearing and discuss.
Does Noe have to close this meeting to open another?
No, you kind of just say, I'm calling a hearing right now for the tax rate. Do I hear anyone who wants to comment or discuss? If none, then you all can talk.
Okay, so we open a meeting to discuss a tax rate, correct?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. And so,
So if you all are free to discuss the tax rate.
based on this drafted document here, correct? Is that what you're?
Yeah, so you'll see what's called an order levying taxes that's in front of you or in the meeting packet. I leave it blank because you all are at liberty to choose the number you want. However, it's adopting a maintenance tax, and again, you all last month published 2881, and I will confirm that.
That is correct.
You published that, it was in the paper, and so it's up to you all to decide on which rate you want to adopt.
I would recommend that we stick with the published rate.
It's okay.
Our budget worked around that, so I don't think we need to change it. I think that's the rate, 0.2881.
2881, yep.
Any discussion? Okay, I'm good with it as well, so.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, so you do a motion to adopt the order levying taxes with the tax rate of 0.2881 for the tax year 2023.
I move that we adopt the tax rate of 0.2881.
To adopt the order levying taxes. And if you want to roll into that motion as well, adopt the amended information form.
And
Amendment to the information form, sorry.
and to also include the amendment to the information form.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Thank you. Go back to the agenda. Okay, so you all have that, okay, for signature, and I'll notarize all that later. Let's see. Okay, confirm financial updates to the district's website. What we'll do is we're going to publish that notice to purchaser, which is the information form. That'll go onto the district's website. We'll also provide it to McKinsey and Reese as well, so they have it. That is something that gets recorded. We're going to record that on the district's behalf. Let's see, your truth in taxation was put on the Williamson County website and Travis County, I believe they shared. Thank you. Item number F, so your auditor, I guess 2 months ago, resigned from the district. We discussed that a couple meetings ago. You all are fast approaching the time for a new auditor to come on to get caught up to speed to be able to produce the next audit. We have reached out, I know two auditors I know personally two big auditing firms. One is not taking any more September 1 year end dates. One auditor, McCall, Gibson, Swidland, Barfoot, they are taking 9-1 districts. That's probably the largest mud auditing firm, public mud auditing firm in the state. They are taking business still, so you can go out for RFQs and get to any auditor who is accustomed and knowledgeable with MUDs and public entities, or you can ask McCall Gibson to provide you all with a proposal. I just wanted to put this on the agenda because I think you all need to act quickly on that matter, because we don't want to run into a situation where we don't have an audit prepared. So you can go out, it's completely up to you. I'm not making any recommendation other than please get on it.
I would love to see a proposal from them and what it's gonna cost, because, we paid, $17,000 for an audit last year, and I did check with our neighboring MUD, and they paid $12,000.
Who is their auditor?
I couldn't tell you because you asked me, but if you wouldn't have asked me, I would have been able to tell you.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I will get you that name because I do have it. And of course, because I'm always interested in the best service for the least amount of money, I would like to get a proposal from whoever their auditor is, but I can't remember their name, as well, to see if they would do our district for $12,000.
Yeah, if you could just provide that,
I will.
perfect.
I will get you the name.
Okay, so really, I guess there's no motion needed unless you all want to make a motion for Linda to give us that name and for us to go out to for RFQs, or at least to send an email to the auditing firms that we know of that and just say, hey, can you all submit a proposal if you're still taking new clients, and see what they say.
Do you need a motion for that?
Probably, just so you don't, next meeting, you don't ask why you have so many proposals.
Okay, I move that, that you send an email to auditors that are taking new clients, and I will supply you the name of the one from our sister med.
Okay.
That will need a second.
No, sir.
Second. All right, all in favor? Say aye.
Thank you. Item,
We just finished our audit, or we were late.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that was not what it was supposed to be finished.
Never mind.
The last item I have on the agenda, it's not, I just put it on there more for food for thought. You don't have to do anything now if you don't want to, but RFQ for a financial advisor. Your financial advisor resigned after the tax rate season as well. And so, in theory, you're not planning on issuing bonds anytime soon, or at least within the next 3 years. Unless there's a catastrophic failure with something, you don't intend to do that. So you don't need a financial advisor. You need a financial advisor for issuing bonds. Right now, you're in a position where you're not. It is beneficial to have a financial advisor to assist with the tax rate and to assist with looking at the budget and your capital improvements plan when the budget season rolls around. I don't know if Chris has ever done that in the past for you all, but that's something that a lot of our districts do. The financial advisors kind of roped in to look at the tax rate, look at the budgets, make sure everything is flowing accordingly, and it helps them put together a tax rate that is good for the district. Again, it's not urgent, and I think right now, because you all probably aren't planning on issuing any bonds, it's not the most attractive role for a financial advisor, because FAs oftentimes are paid from bond proceeds and they are free of charge for everything else. So in a case like this, you might get a financial advisor who would be willing to give a proposal for a couple $1,000s to do 2 meetings worth of work for running your tax rate and doing all of that. Not saying it's necessary. Chris Lane, your old financial advisor, also emailed me today. There is a group in Houston who puts together your tax rate form, your truth in taxation sheet, and they do it for a nominal fee. I can reach out to them and ask for a proposal as well. Again, it's not urgent. This is more, I want to put it in front of you all as food for thought. You don't have a financial advisor, so any questions or any issues that might come up, you'd want to hire one before that happens.
Would you be willing to remind us of that in 3 months? Because we have a lot of people to hire.
Yeah, I will.
And that way, in 3 months' time, we're still well ahead of the end of the year when we need to do the next tax rate. And then maybe that's when we look at that.
Yep.
What's the name of that firm in Houston?
McCall, Gibson, Swedlund, Barfoot. They have an office in Austin and Dallas as well. So they're statewide.
Gibson and what?
Swedlund, Swedlund, and Barfoot, Barfoot PLLC. That's all that I have. I think the last agenda item under new business is, I believe, Kelly's agenda item.
Yep, this is mine. All right. This is regarding the censure of Director Fobb. I have reviewed the June 15th, 2022 censure of Linda Fobb, the letter of explanation by former Director Dudo to new board members on January 17th, 2023, as well as spending many hours watching 2021 board meetings referenced as supporting evidence in that letter. I am well informed on this matter. The censure was passed with 3 votes of the then sitting board on June 15th, 2022. As we sit here today, the composition of the board has substantially changed, along with the timbre and temperature of the communications between most board members. Only one current sitting member voted in favor of the censure, and I believe if the same censure were reintroduced today, that it would not pass. However, the censure continues to be referred to in open meeting, and I believe every time that happens, it mires this board in the past, prevents us from spending our valuable energy and time on the more important issues before us. My forthcoming motion is not an endorsement of each and every past action of Director Fobb. It's rather a recognition that the circumstances have changed and that this board is forward-looking and committed to working together in a collegial manner. I move that this board revoke the June 15th, 2022 censure of Director Fobb.
I'll second that. David?
It is my belief that the censure delivered by Catherine Frankie and supported by votes from Megan Dudo and Beth Jones can be directly correlated to the lawsuit I filed against them personally and their private social organization called Amwater. The allegations are defamatory and personal attacks designed to silence a dissenting voice. The defamatory statements in the censure are not based in facts. They are nothing more than deflection away from their own potential crimes against this district. Very specifically, taking public funds to pay for the lawsuit against their club Amwana, and taking public funds to exploit their personal agendas. The lawsuit that I filed prior to being elected included 3 causes of action. The illegal fine scheme, which placed deed violation fines on water bills and then withheld water if those fines were not paid. 2, the illegitimacy of the Architectural Control Committee over Anderson Mill West, purportedly by a transfer of power from a previous MUD board to Amwana. The misuse of public funds by a resolution that gifted the illegally obtained fine money to the private social organization called Amwana. My lawsuit was dismissed on pleas to the jurisdiction, which was a claim by the one law firm representing both MUD and the Amwana that I never had been injured by their misdeeds and therefore I could not bring suit against them. The law says that only victims can sue, and they hadn't victimized me personally. The merits of my lawsuit were never adjudicated. For the past 3 years, these same 3 people have gone out of their way to make me the villain, yet our previous attorney confirmed the illegal fine scheme was in fact illegal, and attaching fines to water bills has ceased. Our current attorney confirms that the MUD does not have the authority over the ACC and therefore could not have transferred power to Amwana to act as the ACC for Anderson Mill West. The only thing left for me to demonstrate is the misuse of public funds, and in a perfect world, get those funds back. I was able to convince an ethical board last month with a vote of 4-1 to revoke the resolution that funded Amwana. So I'm one step closer to action number 3. Thank you, Kelly, for doing your own research to learn the truth. Everyone wins when ethics and integrity rules.
Yeah, anything to say? Or, okay. So yeah, I think from the beginning, I mean, to me, it's the nature of the censure itself. I don't find it really a basis, precisely because you are a public official, and I believe you have the right to dissent and you have the right to express yourself in a public meeting. You know, and that goes for everybody. And so I think, I mean, I've been wanting to sort of clear the air, get rid of that. Let's just move forward. So that's my decision. I think every public official should have their own view, should express their opinion openly. And the censure should not be used to stop that. That's all I have to say.
Let's call the vote.
All right, so we have a second. All in favor?
And who seconded that again?
I second.
You did, that's right.
I will abstain because it's about.
Alrighty.
Your report?
We have done my report, all the
Can I
text.
ask you about the rate order? Did you get that?
Yes, and we
And he
sent,
sent it to us,
we
so
sent it, yeah.
what we have done is, it came in right as disconnects and stuff were going on, so we had a little bit of last minute, don't add deposits, things going on, so just understand, there might be some hiccups just for this month because we got it really late in the process of this month's delinquents and all of that, but we tried our best to mitigate how we could, but we're gonna have to go back and do some account cleanup most likely because we got it after they had already added things to accounts for the cuts list, so.
Okay,
But-
so I'm gonna need a new
Go
list.
ahead.
I'm gonna need a new
No, hold up,
spreadsheet.
your list is accurate.
No, yes, yes.
So, your
You
list
didn't
is
collect
accurate.
any more deposits?
No,
We reversed them.
we reversed
today.
them today. So I'm just saying, you might see some account reversals in the future, know that it was because they were added and had to be taken off within
You'll
conjunction
remind
to the rate order
You'll remind
updates. So, but yes, we did get it, and what we have to do now is go through and itemize it out for our rate order department to understand all the changes made, and then they implement that into the system.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think your next meeting is scheduled for October 18th, which is the regular third Wednesday.
And that's the day you'll invite, this,
Jacob? Yes,
Jacob.
yeah, I will.
Yep.
do it? Is it over?
It's over. I get to get home before 11 o'clock. Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
We're not gonna do an executive session.
Oh.
If you all need an executive session, we can.
I was just gonna bring up one item regarding the pending litigation. I mean, I'm eventually going to make a motion that we non-suit it. I don't know.
Without discussion. Do you want to go into
Do you wanna
executive
go into
session so
executive
you can
session?
discuss that?
Yeah,
I'm
let's
okay
do
with
it
going
let's do it quick.
It can be so fast.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
just do
Okay,
it.
so let's just
Go
go into
ahead and-
executive session.
Announce that you're doing that so I can go cut the
Okay,
recording.
so we are going into executive session.
This time, you got the time recorded?
Yeah,
Okay.
9:47.
Also, one thing to take it was badly.
Take a razor blade and cut the sides.
Inevitably get those emails, but I'm gonna let Cole respond to Jan and Q. I don't want to.
I can email the do with that house that goes above and beyond what the MUD has the power to do. She might say no. She might say that she would need some type of express, some type of authorization from the MUD or from the resident to do anything. But
Are we recording? Just a second.
I don't think we,
Or-
I'll stop. I'll talk about it next time.
Don't
back?
continue yet. The recording is saying that there's no more storage.
So I can email City of Cedar Park and just see if there's anything that the city can do in terms of enforcement or investigation or looking at the house if you all want to take that step too.
I'm open to exploring everything.
All right, you're good.
all right. we're back
I just
from
needed you to step
executive
away, 'cause as
session.
soon as I went back, it says it's fine.
If you could turn on your microphone.
Okay,
All right.
bring us back.
Yep, we're back from executive session, so
I move that the district non-suit the lawsuit against the property on Old Mill for the unregistered vehicle in the driveway and the property on Linden Lane with a truck parked on the street overnight.
I'll second that.
okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right,
Alternate service.
Motion for alternate service.
Did you want that too?
Oh, yeah. I move that Cole.
I'll put that in the same motion, but if you don't want to revote on it, yeah. Or actually, do it all over again. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I move that we non-suit the lawsuits against the property on Old Mill with the expired registration vehicle in the driveway and the property on London Lane with the truck with overnight street parking, and that we direct Cole to explore a motion for alternate service against the property owner of the Black Cherry property.
Second that.
okay, we have a second. Ready for a vote? All in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do these people get letters or notified?
They will. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, right?
I think that's it.
That is it.